Victor Christensen, Harry Souttar and Wout Faes. That's your back four, unchanged. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and then Ndidi back as skipper in the engine room with Pratt alongside Harvey Barnes and Tete, supporting Kelechi Iheanacho up front. Daniel Iverson, Yuri Tielemans, Jamie Vardy, Daniel Amate, Patson Daka, Ricardo Pereira, Mendy, Luke Thomas and Boubakary Soumaré is your bench for Leicester today. Dave, your take on that, please, and how on earth you can cope without someone as integral as James Maddison.
Yeah, it's getting to be a bit of a concern, isn't it, managing this knee injury? He's in and then he's out, and they're great with him, and then they miss him, and it's hard to get the balance and to try and get a fluid team and a fluid way of playing when you're chopping and changing all the time. And it's a shame because he's a great young player.
So you almost best, I know it's an awful thing to say, but to leave him out for a few games and get him fully fit rather than have this betwixt and between.
The issue that they've had is obviously they had a nightmare at the start of the season, and it was all hands to the front. So I get it, but the long term, in terms of the season, the knock-on effect has been that he's not out there today against their biggest game of the season.
Didn't even feature, exactly. He went, wasn't fit.
Yeah, it's all a bit messy, to be honest. I think they need to get it. They just need to get this sorted. Brendan Rodgers has done well. The team has done well. The squad's done well to pull themselves away from that start that they had and get themselves back into some kind of form. Now scoring goals, which is the big thing for Leicester, but maybe now they can afford to rest him for a prolonged period of time and get him back to the Maddison that we know.
I really like him, but I think this is a big game for someone like Harvey Barnes. He is playing well anyway, but to really step up now as almost the chief playmaker.
Yeah, and the thing is with Harvey Barnes as well, I think, is that we all know there's raw talent there. It's more than that now. It's not just raw talent anymore. There's a very, very competent Premier League footballer there. But I still think that people think, do you know what? There might be more to come here. There might be a proper breakout season for him, where suddenly the big teams come. Not that Leicester aren't a big team, but they come sniffing around.
Was linked to Newcastle at one point, wasn't he? In addition to Maddison being.
And I could see that. Yeah. And equally, I could see if Arsenal were to take him, I could see that as well in terms of the squad.
Okay, let's take a look at Arsenal then. For them, just the one change to the side that had that epic 4-2 victory at Aston Villa. Gabriel Martinelli, who scored the winner in 90 plus 8 minutes into that unguarded net. He starts, but to get him in, Eddie Nketiah drops down to the bench. So either Martinelli or Leandro Trossard, who keeps his place, will lead the line. The other will slot into the three behind the front man with Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. Jorginho and Granit Xhaka are in central midfield. And then the unchanged back four and keeper of Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White, Alexander Zinchenko, who captains the team, by the way, as a mark of love and respect on the anniversary of the beginning of the war in Ukraine. And then, Saliba, Gabriel, White, Zinchenko, Ramsdale between the sticks, and the rest of the team, as we have highlighted. The Arsenal bench is Matty Turner, Kieran Tierney, Thomas Partey back as far as the bench after injury, which is key. Emile Smith-Rowe, Nketiah, and Jakob Kivior, Rob Holding, Takahiro Tomiyasu, and Fabio Vieira. Your thoughts, Dave, please, on that one change and who you think will lead the line. The Premier League is saying Trossard. From my knowledge of Arsenal, I'm thinking it'll be Martinelli, or it might flip. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I think Saka, will be rooted to that wing.
Definitely.
And I think that there will be a fair amount of crossover between Trossard and Martinelli. They're both capable. They're both tricky, skillful players. They're quick. They've got Trossard cutting in has got a great shot on him as well. I really like him. I'm surprised it took a team as long to take him from Brighton. I thought he would go away, but there was some talk about Tottenham taking him.
He leapt at the chance when this opened up,
he made sure he was going. There was no... he drove himself to the medical, There was no doubt about that. But I think, when you actually look at this now and Partey coming back to the bench and you start looking down the list and you think, do you know what? What Arteta has done is extraordinary. The signings have been magnificent. I think Zinchenko, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Zinchenko is the signing of the season for me so far. I just think that is an extraordinary bargain to get him to Arsenal. And I think he's been magnificent. He's a big leader in the dressing room as well.
And just really quickly, pace-wise, if you run at that Leicester defence, you can clearly have success.
Yeah.
Nketiah certainly has a role to play. We all know that. Gabriel Jesus is still injured. But the pace of this four running at that Leicester defence, for me, could be absolutely critical.
Yeah, I think if you're Arteta, you would look at that Man United game and say, right, look, let's keep them quiet for 20 minutes. They're at home as well. That was the thing. They were at Old Trafford and they went for United. They're at home now. They will probably go for Arsenal straight from the off. And it'll just be, don't panic. Let's get through those 20 minutes, get the crowd a little bit edgy. We know we have the firepower on the pitch to score goals against Leicester. And they've just come off the back of conceding 3 when they probably should have won the game. So we know there are weaknesses in that back line.
Dave, great to get your thoughts. And kick-off is less than 20 minutes away now. Leicester against Arsenal. Huge one here at the King Power Stadium. It's coming up on Premier League Live.
Got an uncle.
Coverage of Leicester City against Arsenal from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, alongside with the former Stoke City and Reading striker Dave Kitson. And this is Premier League Live. The big screen in front of us here at the King Power is focusing on Jorginho. Just a quick take on him as well. Obviously, veteran of the scene, in from Chelsea, in very much at the deep end for that Man City game, but he's just slowly making a little bit of a role for himself, particularly with Partey struggling with injury, isn't he?
He is. It's quite an astute piece of business. I'm gonna put my cards on the table and say I'm not the biggest fan.
He's not the quickest, is he? I mean, that's one of the issues here.
Yeah, but I think as a plug in the season, given Partey's injury record, I think for 12 million quid, if that's the difference between getting the title over the line, that's not bad, is it? That's a good bit of business.
I think you've summed that up beautifully. Okay, in addition to us, there are 3 other 3 p.m. kickoffs. Let's run you through them. Big game for Everton, still near the bottom of the table, despite some signs of life under Sean Dyche. They take on Aston Villa under Unai Emery, who lost their epic game to Arsenal last time out. Let's get the teams from Andrew Self on the back of the 2 bosses.
You've got to keep performing. That's the key. And then you get the wins and it just keeps building that mentality. So we want that. But we've got to go down the right. As I always say, there's no gimmies in the Premier League. I've learnt that from all my years in it. And now it's about taking the challenge on from the last one, taking the feel-good factor, taking the performance into the next one.
Amazing before in Barley, and as well I know him because I played against his team before. And with Everton, he's following, doing the same performance, and really they are very, very competitive.
Surely Dyche has the toughest fans believing they can avoid the drop.
The Oonmeister has got the Villa fans concerned as the metaphorical wheels aren't off, but by Jiminy Cricket, they are wobbling right now. Everton run out today off the back of winning their last 2 home Premier League matches, the last being a 1-0 win over Leeds. Old Gravel Voice makes no changes to the last Premier League winning side. Unai Emery's side might have been a tad unfortunate in their 4-2 home defeat at the hands of Arsenal last time out, but conceding 11 and only scoring 3 is not so good. Villa make 3 changes. Coutinho is out. Moreno and Buendia head to the bench to be replaced by former Toffee Digne, Ramsey and Bailey. 7 points separate these 2 sides in the Premier League table. And if Sean Dyche's sides prevail today, that will be down to 4. Everton were doomed, weren't they? Villa needs something. Otherwise, Mr. Emery's fans will be thinking, ooh, we are awful.
There is only one Andrew Self, absolutely on top form there. You can listen to Selfie in your entirety if you can cope with that for all 90 minutes on talksport.com/EN, online on the app around the world. Raw Andrew Self, all the other matches apart from ours, you can hear them in their entirety, and then all the key moments during our featured match, the goals, the red cards, the penalties. It's going to be a dramatic day. In terms of that match then, Dave, how do you see it panning out?
Do you know what? I think they'll be all right now. I think Everton will be fine. I think Sean Dyche I interviewed him once as well, and he's just straight down the line. What you see is what you get. There's no messing around.
And the best voice in the business.
He does have the best voice, and I still can't get, when I hear his voice, I still can't get Burnley out of my head. It just seems strange that he's not there anymore. No. But I think they've turned a corner. They had a horrible couple of fixtures back to back. But this is a big game. They win this, and you it's just a question then of how high they can go.
Okay, so next up, Leeds United and Southampton. Massive game at the bottom for Joe Flemons. He'll bring us the teams on the back of the new Leeds boss, the former Watford man, Javi Gracia's in, and Ruben Selles at St Mary's, given the job as interim boss for the rest of the season as things stand. Let's hear from both then those teams.
I hope here in Leeds will be the same, with good results, with good football, and with all our supporters enjoying with the team.
I didn't want to force anything for the end of the season, whatever the result is. I need to be respectful also with that process, and then we do our job, and then when we do our job in the end of the season, let's see where we are and let's talk.
A huge game this afternoon at Ellen Road as the league's bottom 2 do battle. A fresh face in both dugouts. I wonder what expression those said faces will have on at full time today. Leeds, winless since November, need something, but when they do, it usually comes at home. 3 of their 4 league wins have come on hallowed turf, and they'll be hoping it's those creature comforts that get them through today. Javi Gracia makes just 1 change from the team beaten last weekend at Everton as Brendan Aronson comes in for Crescencio Somerville. Maximilian Verber has shrugged off a shoulder injury to start, and Patrick Bamford leads the line in the continued absence of top scorer Rodrigo. Ruben Selles has had quite the week. A renewed sense of optimism on the South Coast following on from that victory at Stamford Bridge last weekend. He names an unchanged side with James Ward-Prowse making Saints history today. It will be his 329th Premier League appearance, matching a club record held by Jason Dodd. Tensions will be running high. There's a lot on this one. It's Leeds versus Southampton, live from Ellen Road.
Joe, thank you very much. So Leeds, as he says, second bottom, Southampton bottom. How do you see this game going, and either or both their hopes of maybe staying up?
Just having a real good study of the table, and you look at it and you think, well, Wolves seem to have found a bit of form. Leicester, Forest are all going to be okay. Everton have sorted themselves out. There's only really one team in Bournemouth that they can catch Leeds.
Yeah, usually with 3 from 4, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why it's such a... I mean, Leeds haven't won 5 games. Southampton at least have won twice, not least of all at Chelsea. So they're going into this game with confidence. I looked at Leeds the other day against Forest. They could have played for 100 years and not scored. And when you've got a striker, and you're talking about Patrick Bamford, he's got to start scoring. It seems obvious to say, but when you've got a striker like that, he knows he needs to start scoring. And when you're going into games knowing that, it just gets worse and worse. It's just, I would have to say Southampton.
Fascinating. It's going to be a great final third of this Premier League season, just over at both ends of the table. The battle at the bottom will be right across, and of course the battle at the top with our featured games at 3 and 5:30. Now, one more 3 p.m. kickoff to bring you. That's West Ham against Nottingham Forest. The Hammers, the other team currently inside the bottom 3 under beleaguered David Moyes, who keeps his job and the faith of the board now. Steve Cooper, largely, despite so many personnel changes, has done pretty well as the Forest boss. Let's hear from both of them and teams. From John Howitt.
There's still a lot to play, but they're getting bigger because there's not as many as there was at the start. So we played Notts Forest in the opening game of the season. was incredibly tight games. Things on the day maybe didn't go quite for us. So we've got to hope that we can turn that around and pick up these 3 points.
It's no secret, and I don't want any elephants in the room. Our away form is something that has to improve, and believe me, I'm talking about it more with the players than they are with each other than what we are to you guys. It's something that we really want to turn around.
Well, David Moyes was given the full support of the club's board this week, but his future still looks far from secure, especially if the Hammers lose today. West Ham have only won once in their last 11 games, and despite the silver lining of still being in the Europa Conference League, just a point separates the Hammers from the relegation zone. Moyes makes 4 changes. Danny Ings is finally fit enough to make his West Ham debut a month after he joined the club, replaces Antonio up front, with Johnson, Paqueta and Benrahma all returning, with Kehrer, Downs and Emerson dropping to the bench. Nottingham Forest are 5 points and 5 places above the Hammers, but are far from safe themselves. They have the worst away record in the top flight this season as well, with 1 win and only 6 points in 11 games. But after nicking a draw against Manchester City last weekend, Steve Cooper will feel optimistic about getting a result in East London today. He makes 2 changes. Nico Williams comes in for the injured Serge Aurier at right back, while Danilo drops to the bench. So Chris Wood, who scored against City last weekend, can partner Johnson up front. From the London Stadium, it's West Ham versus Nottingham Forest.
Not always pretty, but Chris Wood proved off the bench just what a difference he can make as that focal point up front. So interesting he does start in a game we've already said that's massive, particularly for West Ham and Moyes, isn't it?
Yeah, no, West Ham can't afford to lose this game. It really is as simple as that. Looking at the table, I mean, it's clear where West Ham's troubles are. They've conceded 29 goals, only 1 more than Spurs in 4th place. The difference is, whereas Spurs have doubled the amount of goals that they've scored to West Ham's 19. That has been the issue this season. I mean, they even leagues below them have 28. It's just a shocker of a record, and it is the sort of stat that teams go down on.
So those, the other games at 3 o'clock, we're across all of them. You can catch them all individually online and on the app around the world as well, as we mentioned. And to come after that, 2 more huge commentaries. 5:30, when Arsenal will be 5 points clear, I wonder, by the time that Manchester City head to struggling Bournemouth. That's with Tim Long and Kev Watson. And at 7:45 UK, Toby Gillis and Paul Mortimer guide you through Crystal Palace against a Liverpool team showing some resurgence domestically, but really handed it to them in Europe in midweek. Their response there will be fascinating as well. Then tomorrow, Spurs, Chelsea and the Carabao Cup final, Man United against Newcastle, all live on Premier League Live on the back of that 1-1 draw last night between Fulham and Wolves as well. That's where we stand. So let's now hear from our 2 managers heading into Leicester against Arsenal, Brendan Rodgers and Mikel Arteta.
It's so early. You get 15 games to go. I think the problem now is, because of the media speculation around everything, it's from 15, 20 games out. You're talking about winning the league. It's so long, such a long way to go. But they're certainly going to be up there competing and challenging, that's for sure. And like I say, they'll see with 5 games to go where they're at.
But that's what we have to do. That's our responsibility, to keep our best player, our best people, and the people basically that has the same aims and purposes with the club, to stick them together for a while, give them some stability, and from there keep evolving and become a better club.
Because you've always said trust in the process. Is this part of the process, not only bringing young players through?
Well, I think both teams want to play. That's the identity and philosophy of both Mikel and myself. We want to create goals and score goals. I think we've shown that in our time here. But of course, you have to be mindful of the quality that they have. And so like in all the big games against the top teams, you have to defend well. You have to be strong. You have to do all the basics of the game well. You've got to track runners. You have to be competitive. You hope then in your football and believe in your football that you can create and score goals. And I think we've done that. So it should be a fantastic football game.
Well, they've been really consistent the last few weeks, the game they played. But it's true that Brendan has proposed very different games in many different moments throughout the seasons, and they have this capacity to adapt, play different formation, playing different approaches. We have prepared for both because it is possible, and let's see what they do tomorrow.
Mikel Arteta, before that Brendan Rodgers, and good point there, lots of mutual admiration from the bosses, but they do both like to play good football, entertain, get goals.
Yeah, it's expansive, it's attacking. do believe that we're going to see goals, famous last words, but I do believe we're going to see goals today. Look, Arsenal have to win. They have to keep winning, right? So their job's simple. I saw enough from Leicester against United to see that they create a lot of chances. The problem was just putting the ball in the net. But I think this is going to be a real good, expansive, attacking game of football by two very progressive managers.
Score prediction?
2-2.
I'm going to say 3-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
We will see. Dave Gitts, it's so good to be back alongside you, my friend. Plenty more from Dave in a moment. And as ever, at TalkSport Live, wherever you're listening from around the world, we love to hear from you. Drop us a tweet, send us a picture of what you're up to. Tell us what you're doing. Your thoughts as well on Arsenal. Will they be champions of England for the first time since 2004 come the end of the season? Will City pip them? Will Man United even pip them? They're only 5 points back. Don't forget as well your thoughts on that. The title race on Leicester. Where will they finish? All of that and much more. Let us know at TalkSport Live on Premier League Live.
Global events.
The priority now is collecting the evidence.
Breaking news.
Every life that they can save is a success.
Reactive analysis.
It's a very bizarre situation.
From the world's best journalists.
An unfortunate pattern is emerging.
And renowned experts from across the globe.
It still doesn't resolve the fundamental issues.
Keeping you informed as events unfold.
This is a flagrant violation of international law.
Times Radio is available to listen without a subscription. On DAB digital radio, online via the Times Radio app, and on your smart speaker. Times Radio. Know your times.
TalkSport Drive, weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. A tower of sporting power in the afternoon.
Join me, Andy Goldstein, and TalkSport Team Drive.
The latest sports news, hard-hitting opinion, and exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game.
Under the bonnet, over the top, into the back of the net.
Sports Mad afternoon radio, driven by you.
Revs up weekdays from 4, only on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home. TalkSport Drive. Previously on White and Jordan.
It costs the taxpayer zip, zero, zilch, nada, Nathan, nothing.
White Hot Sports News. Incomparable comments.
I mean, honestly, soft tissue injury, 50% up. Okay. And at the same stage last season, they don't lie.
Statistics are the beginning of a conversation, Jim, not the end of it.
Comments, conflict and confrontation.
International friendlies, ditch them. Gone. Carabao Cup, gone. FA Cup, gone.
Jim White.
Forwards, never going to happen.
Simon Jordan.
Go away and come back when you've got something more grown up to say.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport.
Yeah.
Times Radio, making sense of a changing world.
The biggest names in politics.
The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is here.
Well, a great honour to be here.
The arts.
My first guest is the acclaimed director, Werner Herzog.
Entertainment.
I'm joined by Darren Brown.
World events, at home and abroad.
Shots have been fired in the Black Sea.
And the world's best resourced, intelligent opinion.
I came into politics to change lives.
In times of change, be well informed.
Times Radio is available to
to talk sports coverage of Leicester City against Arsenal from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me, the former Stoke City and Reading striker Dave Kitson, and this is Premier League Live. Arsenal currently 2 points clear atop the table up against the Leicester team who, well, they finally found some form with 3 straight victories in all competitions. That has dipped a tad with their defeats against Manchester United. 3-0 last time out. Game they dominated for about an hour, so were made to pay the price by the likes of Marcus Rashford. And for Arsenal, up and down by their lofty standards in the month of February, but a priceless 4-2 victory at their old boss Unai Emery's Aston Villa last time out. Goals on 93 and 98 minutes after being down twice, which put the Gunners back top of the table 4 now Man City 2 points behind, having played the game more, still breathing down their necks, and they'll do so live on Premier League Live at 5:30 at Bournemouth. So it's over to Arsenal to try and get the job done again. They line up with Aaron Ramsdale in goal. Back four of Ben White, Gabriel, William Saliba, Alexander Zinchenko, captain for the day. The year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. Jorginho and Granit Xhaka in central midfield. Leandro Trossard, Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka supporting Gabriel Martinelli up front. Trossard and Martinelli could well flip-flop in that central role. Eddie Nketiah drops down to the bench, therefore, alongside Matty Turner, Kieran Tierney, Thomas Partey back from injury as far as the subs. Will Smith-Rowe, Jacob Kivior, Rob Holding, Takahiro Tomiyasu and Fabio Vieira. Arsenal in their red and white with a big huddle just to the right of the centre circle. Such team camaraderie and cohesion under Mikel Arteta. But will that togetherness be enough to win the title come May? We'll certainly find out over the next few weeks and months. And matches like this are a darn good test, believe you me, against Brendan Rodgers' Leicester. They might be down in 14th, hoping to go 12, but they've still got quality, despite the absence of James Maddison, their star midfielder, who's finally out with an ongoing knee problem. Danny Ward in goal, Timothy Castagna, Wout Faes, Harry Souttar, Victor Christensen at the back, Wilfred Ndidi, the captain, returning alongside young Kiernan at Dewsbury Hall in midfield. Then it's Dennis Pratt, Harvey Barnes and Tete, supporting Kelechi Iheanacho up front, Daniel Iverson, Yuri Tielemans, Jamie Vardy, Daniel Amate, Patson Daka, Ricardo Pereira, and Palis Mendy drops down, Luke Thomas, Bubakari Soumare is your home team today. Leicester, by the way, in their all blue, with a tiny bit of white trim. They are kicking from left to right in the first half from our vantage point atop the main stand here in the East Midlands. And Arsenal, that red and white, go from right to left. 0-0 on Premier League Live. And Arsenal have won an attacking throw almost immediately down the far hand side, taken by Ben White. All recycled neatly by Jorginho. Shot from distance, over the bar. But already, Arsenal asking some questions through Martin Odegaard, 40 seconds in.
Yes, an early warning, 40 seconds in, and Arsenal have got 4 men in the box and 2 ringing the box, showing their intent right from the off. I mean, it's funny, last season this would have just been another game, but it feels bigger, doesn't it? It just actually feels like a much, much bigger game than it usually is.
Well, they've rolled you up, mate, so it's got to be. Craig Pawson is our referee today. Michael Salisbury is on VAR duty. Will we need him over the course of the game? Arsenal will hope not, after the debacle against Brentford a few matches ago. Let's not go there. Leicester's fans very much behind their team. Fox's home record a bit iffy this season, but in their last home Premier League game, they did beat Spurs, Arsenal's bitter North London rivals, 4-1, which was a pretty handy result. Well, headed downfield by Harry Souttar, the Australian, formerly of Dave's old team, Stoke City. Quite a good addition for me to try and make things a little better at the back.
Yeah, it's interesting. When he left, I checked I'm a sucker for those comments on Instagram, to see what the fans are saying, and they were universally gutted. A lot of fans wishing him well. No negativity. They were really upset to lose him. So, obviously, been a big player for Stoke, and he's looked pretty comfortable, I would say, since he's come in.
Yeah, obviously Johnny Evans is injured. Khalil Soyuncu falling foul of Brendan Rodgers for whatever reason. So as things stand, it is Souttar alongside Wout Faes, the Belgian, has become the fairly consistent and stable centre-half partnership, but they don't like too much pace run at them, and that's exactly what Arsenal will try and do. Maybe here down the right-hand side, Odegaard to Saka, infield to Granit Xhaka, 30 yards out in space, puts in a probing delivery, partially cleared by Faes, but won by Xhaka. Arsenal come forward again. Leicester a little bit timid trying to get rid of that one. And they've invited Alexander Zinchenko forward to Leandro Trossard, tries to find Xhaka. He miscontrols on the left edge of the penalty area. In the end, Leicester are happy to just smash it up to halfway, where it's won by Gabriel. He exchanges passes with Jorginho. And the decision goes Arsenal's way. They will get a free kick bang on halfway. We can safely say, by the way, that Martinelli seems to be leading the line.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting what's happening over on that right-hand side. I was looking at it. I think it's a really big game for Christensen there at left back. It's going to need cover for Ndidi. Saka was coming inside and Christian was following him all the way inside, and it left an enormous gap for Odegaard to run in. Xhaka tried to find him with the ball. We're going to have to watch that, Leicester.
Yeah, James Justin, who's an excellent fullback, is injured. And Luke Thomas has been in and out. It is possibly an area of problem for Leicester City. They've also signed one or two other players who've also fallen foul of injury. Ryan Bertram being an example. They are a little bit stretched in certain departments, Leicester, and not helped by the fact they've barely signed anybody. And it was ridiculous, basically, heading into the new season, wasn't it, when all they'd signed was a backup goalkeeper and let 4 or 5 squad members go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do think as well, it's you know, when you think of Leicester without a Schmeichel and without a Vardy, that's huge. That's absolutely huge, not just on the pitch, but in the dressing room. And I don't think that's been replaced.
Vardy is obviously still there. It's just that he's only scored 1 goal in 23 Premier League matches this season, 4 in all comps, which is nothing like the return we're used to from Jamie Vardy. And at his age, going on 36, I mean, we are getting to the point where they are almost without him, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, you know, he's had obviously his own issues as well. But it's just, Leicester are a team who you're always going to struggle for those big. You're not in the market to sign the best of the best.
No. And then if you lose your best on top of that, like Maddison potentially, heavily linked to Spurs, Newcastle, we said, various clubs, it can be a problem. Ball's gone loose, and here come Arsenal. Real mistake in the Leicester defence, and in the end it was an excellent block from Timothy Castagna. The Belgian right back came rampaging back and made the block to deny Granit Xhaka. Leicester really found wanting in the middle, and Arsenal, through the Swiss, nearly made them pay.
Yeah, it's a lucky ball, actually, because Odegaard is not trying to find Xhaka. He's trying to find Trossard, mishits it. I thought Xhaka had a chance to shoot there on that left foot as well. Gets into the area. He's got a rocket of a shot.
He's left it a little bit too late, didn't he?
Yeah, elected to cross, and Leicester got their numbers back.
It is still a corner, though. Leicester a little bit narrow there, leaving Castagna exposed. As David said, maybe a bit of a degree of fortune to the build-up. But 5 gone. Trossard, right-footed, swings in a dangerous corner. Well-headed clear in the end. I think it was Ndidi who got back and made the headed clearance. Possibly Iheanacho. Whoever it was, they needed it because the keeper was flapping and struggling in Danny Ward. And that was a probing delivery there from Leandro Trossard.
It's a great header, actually, because there were 3 or 4 going for it. And they made it his, but this is really impressive start from Arsenal. You can actually see the little patterns of play they've been working in on training to try and unpick Leicester, and it's working really, really well. Leicester look a little bit ragged at the back.
Approaching 6 gone, Premier League live. Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. As the Gunners look to extend their 2-point lead atop the Premier League. Here is Alexander Zinchenko, captain for the day. Got his first goal in Arsenal colours last time out. Finds Ødegaard, now to Saka. Right edge of the box, Saka lets rip, deflected, nearly found its way through to Ødegaard. Really nice football from Arsenal. Saka given too much space. We know what a lethal left foot he's got, but Leicester again left to just about fight another day.
Yeah, it's what's actually happening is they're getting the ball wide. Doesn't matter what wing, getting the ball wide and then getting it right out to the other wing as quickly as they possibly can. And it's condensing the back 4 for Leicester, and they can't shuffle over quickly enough.
Jorginho, little through ball to his captain Ødegaard, or his club captain I should say, because this man Zinchenko is the honorary skipper for the day. Number 35 tried to slide it through to Xhaka, who can't quite get there. Arsenal with 81% possession in the opening 6.5 minutes. Says it all in terms of the dominance. And Xhaka, we've seen him play more and more upfield this season. Today's game, he's almost like an extra guy behind the front man, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks like he's got license to go on. You know, get him out of that area and let the Odegaards come and get the ball, who are comfortable, the Jorginhos who are comfortable with the ball, and get him up. Like I say, he's got a rocket of a shot. Get him up there.
So fluidity there with Ødegaard sometimes dropping deep to allow Xhaka forward. Fluidity between the front 2 of Martinelli and Trossard. At the other end, here is Leicester for the first time in the game through Iheanacho, who's still going. And Zinchenko did well because Jorginho was kind of dillying and dallying and buzzing around but not making the tackle. In the end, Zinchenko stood his ground and won the ball. Trossard tries to bring the ball clear but overplays, loses it. And here's Dennis Praet, the Belgian, infield as far as Tete, the loanee, the Brazilian wearing 37. He thought about a little impudent through ball, but in the end thought better of it and goes deep. Here's Kiernan at Dewsbury Hall, youngster wearing 22. His through ball was poor, read by Jorginho. He finds Xhaka, and Arsenal come again, but at least Leicester asked some form of question and actually got back into the Arsenal half for a few seconds.
Yeah, it was Trossard trying to give a crossfield pass, but on that right foot, which isn't his most comfortable, mishits it, gets cut out. It's actually quite a nice play from Leicester, but it's such a fast start from both teams.
At TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in. We'll read a couple out in a moment as Granit Xhaka comes forward again for Arsenal. Up to Gabriel Martinelli. He's gone wide this time, and Trossard has gone central. That interchanging, very evident for all to see. No real options downfield as Leicester do some decent work and show a good shape without the ball on this occasion. Not too much of it so far. And they force the Gunners all the way back to halfway. To the excellent distribution of William Saliba, the Frenchman, looking for Saka, who's being closely shackled by Harvey Barnes. But Martin Ødegaard comes back and helps out the England star. And Arsenal come forward again, just on the edge of the centre circle. Up to the right-hand side to Ben White. Up to Saka, 21-year-old. 49 goals and assists in the Premier League, looking for a 50th goal contribution today. Leicester player down, but advantage played by our referee Craig Pawson. Here's Iheanacho out to the left-hand side. A little bit more promising this from Leicester City. 3 players inside, but Dewsbury Hall couldn't get rid of the ball quickly enough, and he's forced to go back in the end. His Danish left-back, Victor Christensen. The break is just lost, the momentum has been stayed.
Yeah, I think later on in the game that ball would have just been slung into the box, but I think Leicester players just want a breather. They just want to touch of the ball. They just want to keep it just for a couple of minutes, get used to it, try and get a foothold in this game.
Castagna, little 1-2 between Tete and Pratt. That was nice, but Tete, on loan from Shakhtar Donetsk, miscontrols. That allows Arsenal to come forward. Good challenge, though, from Harry Souttar, and we mentioned at the start of the game, on Trossard. Wins it back. Neat through from Iheanacho, and here's Tete for Leicester. Right edge of the penalty area, running at Gabriel. Great block from Gabriel, and I think he's played the ball back off the Leicester player as well. For me, that's a goal kick, and that was good defending from Gabriel.
Yeah, it was. He didn't dive in. Just asking the question, can you beat me? And he couldn't. He got lucky with the ricochet, wins the goal kick. Well, I don't know what Jorginho's doing there. He's trying to tell his teammate that he's been pushed. I'm telling you now, there was nobody anywhere near him. He just miscontrolled it.
Old pro there.
Yeah.
Wily old pro trying to blame anybody but himself. You'd never do that, would you?
Never. Take responsibility.
10 gone. Premier League Live. Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. Other games are also goalless at the moment, but it could change. Leeds, Southampton, West Ham Forest, Everton Villa. But to them, as soon as anything happens. Last night, 1-1 Fulham and Wolves to come on Premier League Live. Man City at Bournemouth at 5:30 UK. Palace Liverpool at 7:45. Arsenal coming forward. Trossard to Martinelli. He's gone central this time. Through ball from Xhaka to Zinchenko. Could have slid the ball back out as far as Ødegaard. Decided not to. Ødegaard is still in space and calling for the ball. Gets it second time around. Clever probing delivery. Trossard stretched to get there. So did Martinelli. And it was effectively just in between the pair of them. And that allowed Wout fast with his floppy mop of hair to get the ball to safety.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And what's really impressive with Arsenal as well, and you can tell that they've been brilliantly coached by Arteta and his team, is that when the ball does get headed out, their players are all pushed in, all in the right places, all ready to pick up the second ball and carry on again. It's really, really impressive.
And if you invite them on or allow them to come at you, whichever way you want to describe it, that's exactly what Leicester effectively have been forced or have decided to do. It is not a good recipe, I can tell you 12 minutes in, because to keep this up and keep them out for a whole game is almost impossible.
It does. It reminds me of playing the old Arsenal. It's relentless.
Here's Zinchenko, feigned the shot, goes to Trossard, blocked from fast, important block. Xhaka cleverly waits for the ball to fall to him, taking Pratt out of the game. Arsenal have been forced back about 15 yards, but again, momentary glimmer. Nearly an opportunity to get a shot on target through Trossard, but once more, Wout Faes, who's done pretty well since coming in, is the man who makes the block. Again, though, Arsenal come forward. Xhaka to Martinelli. Little 1-2. Return pass from Zinchenko was overhit. It allowed Tete to get the ball. Poor pass, but a wonderful turn from Pratt to take Jorginho out of the game. Pratt then nearly fell over and almost undid all of his good work. We saw Phil Foden fall over in bizarre circumstances in this slot last week. Great cross from the left-hand side in the end from Kieran Dewsbury Hall, which nearly found Kelechi and Iheanacho. He had Gabriel on him, who just about made the block, but from the sublime and ridiculous to the near brilliant, in the end, Leicester, down the left, almost found a way to goal.
Oh, it's a dream of a cross for a striker as well, and brilliantly defended by Gabriel, who actually had his foot in right. I just think Iheanacho was on his off step as that ball came in. It came in so fast, he couldn't really sort his feet out to jump.
You've got a bloke falling over himself, followed by a brilliant cross, only in the Premier League. All in the space of 2 seconds. 13 gone. Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. As I say, keep your tweets coming in at TalkSport Live. Shannon Blythe, big fan of the show, huge Palace fan. She always goes for a run and has us in her earphones as soon as she hears us. Shannon, looking forward to an exciting game as Arsenal come forward through Erdegaard. Now to Xhaka, tries the through ball, can't quite find Martinelli. Block on this near side from Castagna, who frees another of the Belgian contingent in Pratt, but there's not much option, there's not many places for them to really go with that counter.
Yeah, because the Tete's trying to get forward as well, and Iheanacho is up there obviously, but he's trying to stretch the pitch, he's trying to create a little bit of room, but the problem with that is that when you're on the ball as Pratt is, you have to then keep dribbling with it, and you need a pass, and eventually the midfield will come back and have a snap at you.
You need an outlet basically. Yeah. And there was nothing there, and Pratt was almost gesticulating, saying to his teammates, give me an option, give me somebody to pass to with a bit of momentum. Shannon saying, I need a heart-pumping game to get me through my run on the hills today. Let's go. Thank you for that. And L-Town Sports alongside Matthew Meek and the boys listening in Littletown, Pennsylvania. Good to hear from you guys. At TalkSport Live, wherever you are, keep your tweets coming in. Send us a picture. Tell us what you're up to. And they're not still going to win the Premier League. Are they not? What's going to happen with Leicester? How's this game going to pan out? At TalkSport Live, keep your tweets coming in. We'll read them out over the course of the game. 14.5 gone. Goalless here, Leicester Arsenal. All of our other matches goalless as things stand as well. Poor throw from Christensen on the far side. It was easily won back by the Gunners. And midway inside their own half, they come forward through the long, lolloping steps of Gabriel. He's not really been tracked by Leicester, so he's been allowed to get almost up to halfway, where it gets a little bit static. Jorginho provides himself as the outlet. Out to the far side to Saka, and Christensen certainly leaves his mark on Bukayo Saka there and concedes the free kick.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to get spun by Saka because he's never ever going to catch him.
So he just basically kicks it.
Yeah, he just wants to bring him down. He's been given a run around for 15 minutes.
One way to do it. It is an Arsenal free kick, and they quickly switch the passage of play from right to left. Martinelli had two men on him, so goes infield to Alexander Zinchenko. Loves to go infield. Great back heel from Trossard to Martinelli. Saka's in space. Martinelli dinked it over the top, but there was just a little bit too much swerve on the through ball. Saka couldn't quite get there, and it trickles out for a goal kick. But lovely back heel in the build-up here from Trossard.
Yeah, it's really nice. And the issue is that Christensen is getting so narrow. It's almost like he's becoming a third centre half, and he's just leaving Saka out there. It's the last thing you'd want to do.
Well, Leicester were very narrow on this side when Xhaka nearly scored, and Castagna had to run across, and same issue almost on the other side now.
Yeah, it's just because they're shifting the ball so quickly from one wing to the other. And what else you notice as well about Arsenal is when they're actually in the middle of the pitch, it's apart from Xhaka when he gets a little bit further forward, it is maximum 2 touches. They're moving the ball so quickly, Leicester can't set themselves.
Dennis Pratt with a good hooked challenge off an Arsenal player to at least win a throw for Leicester City, fairly close to the corner flag. But Erdegaard wins the ball back with relative ease off of Iheanacho. Iheanacho, to his credit, though, then puts in a stout challenge to win the ball back. Trossard then tackles him. Iheanacho then shoves Trossard in the back. It's all getting I wouldn't say heated, but it's certainly getting a bit niggly. And Arsenal win a free kick midway inside their own half, which, guess what, they take very quickly indeed. Through ball from Jorginho is a beauty to free Saka. This is more like it. Bukayo Saka nearly got a shot away. Half-hearted appeals from the fans for a penalty. But Christensen stuck with Saka and just about did enough to put the England man off and prevent a goal. But I think we do have another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, I think we do. And I think Saka gets clipped as well. It's not enough to get the foul, but I definitely think Christian just barges into him just as Saka is about to shoot. But Christensen for sure is getting the runaround. We pulled it out before the game at the start.
So that would have been a free kick on the edge of the box. It wasn't quite in the penalty area, but it wasn't spotted. Nothing was given. Arsenal do have a corner. Taken short. Saka to Jorginho. Clever delivery. Fizzes across the edge of the 6-yard area. Could have gone anywhere, that one, after Jorginho helped it along. Xhaka scurries to the dead ball line to keep the ball in play. Ben White, the right back, has come over to the left. He finds Trossard over the top, and because White has changed flanks, there's nobody where he should be. But Gabriel, to his credit, wins the ball. Great work. Here's Saka again from distance. Over the bar. Not Bukayo Saka's finest. Pretty much everything the youngster touches turns to gold. That one turned to something else.
Yeah, I think it's worth the shot, though. Again, it's Christensen who gets pulled out. He's having to chase Gabriel, who's trying to keep it in, and I think he's trying to win the throw, kick it off Christensen. It falls really, really luckily. And Saka cuts inside. It's just stretching on the shot, which is what makes it rise over that bar. But it's another warning shot from that right-hand side for Arsenal.
Goal kick on this occasion to Leicester City, taken by their Welsh international Danny Ward. Not the best of deliveries, won by Jorginho. He finds Gabriel Martinelli. Already Arsenal with 4 attempts on goal to Leicester's none. Not a shot on target in the game as yet. 18.5 minutes in on Premier League Live. Zinchenko, triangular set of passes. In swinging delivery from Martinelli. That's flicked on under pressure by Christensen, and behind for another Arsenal corner on the far side, Dave Kitson.
Well, if you wondered what Arteta has singled out as a weakness in this Leicester team, it's been answered in the first 18 minutes. It is basically get the ball to Saka and let him have a go at Christensen. He's all over the place. I feel for him.
Well, Leicester have had a problem defending aerially all season. Arsenal looked like they'd solved that Achilles heel for much of the season, but in recent games, they've started conceding goals from corners and from set pieces again as well. Short corner from Saka to Ødegaard. Trossard in space, good block from Pratt, but it's only loose as far as Martinelli. Was he shoved in the back by Wilfred and Ndidi? I don't think so, not really an appeal. Play goes on, Castagna with a slightly bizarre header. Martinelli's trying to get there, but fast dives to the floor. Martinelli was saying, I'm just jockeying and trying to win the loose ball from the poor header. Referee, though, was well placed, Craig Pawson, and he gives Leicester the free kick.
Well, do you know, if that had been the other way around and Farza had shoved Martinelli, it never would have been a penalty. But it's one of those where you just know you're going to get it. The first one, Martinelli slipped. It's not a foul, but maybe he gets a little forearm in the back, but it's not enough shouldn't be enough to shove Farza. He's a big lad, anyway, let's be honest.
Yes, he did go down relatively easily, but Timothy Castagna, after a good block earlier in the game, what he was trying to do with that header, Dave, I'm not sure.
No, it was bizarre. Absolutely. I think he wanted to go back, and then maybe at the last minute he saw Martinelli at the corner of his eye.
So just thought he'd head it high into the grey Midland sky randomly instead. He's a fairly grey day, fairly nippy as well. Big challenge for Arsenal, as we know. 2 clear at the top. Man City playing later at 5:30 at Bournemouth. They need to continue to make a statement after their wobble. Who would have thought from last Wednesday when they lost to Manchester City that they'd be back top again and have a game in hand? That's how last weekend suddenly panned out. They need to continue to build, puff out those chests and keep the energy going. Arteta always quick every week to say that's our key point here. It's energy, energy, energy.
Yeah, I'm just thinking actually, because games usually sort of mellow out after about 15, 20 minutes. But I think that's a bit of a misnomer these days in the modern game. I don't think that happens. Certainly not. There's no reason why the game should, come to a standstill after 20 minutes. You can keep the energy up, especially when your players are only having 2-3 touches. It's Leicester certainly that are exerting more energy trying to win it back.
Absolutely. Ødegaard to Zinchenko, back to Martin Ødegaard. Little through ball to Saka, nice close control, beats Christensen, right-footed delivery. Weaker foot, of course, for the number 7, which is slightly off balance, clips that one over the bar and behind for a goal kick. And Bukayo Saka sets very, very high standards, and he'll be frustrated at that.
Yeah, I mean, he's very obviously very, very left-footed. But I just think in that case, if you're on your weak foot and you're that close into the box, don't try and be too precise with your wrong foot. You're much better off. Steve Coppell used to say to us, you are much better off smashing it across the box, and you never know where it can go.
And for anyone who is newish to the Premier League, that Reading team under Steve Coppell that Dave banged the goals in for was such a breath of fresh air, and it was such a great couple of years, wasn't it, when you guys went up and did so well when you did?
Yeah, we managed to mess it up quite spectacularly in the end, but
for a couple
of years there, it was pretty good. Yeah.
No, it was really, really good. Here's Martinelli for Arsenal. Plays a 1-2 with Zinchenko. I don't think Martinelli was expecting that one back, but he actually did quite well to keep hold of the ball. Jorginho, attempted back flick from Ødegaard, didn't quite work, just didn't quite make the contact he wanted to get it as far as Saka. Maybe Ødegaard on that occasion, guilty of perhaps just overcomplicating things.
Yeah, I think he thought Christensen was going to come up behind him and try and pinch the ball, but he didn't. He went out to Saka, and there was a huge gap. He could have just turned and had a shot.
But still, 22 minutes gone, so exactly halfway through the first half. It's Arsenal asking the vast majority of the questions here on Premier League Live. But it remains Leicester 0, Arsenal 0 as Trossard back central again with Martinelli hugging this near flank. Goes out to the far side, once more to the industrious and talented Bukayo Saka. Cross from Whites, plucked out of the air by Ward. And the Leicester keeper gets rid of it quickly downfield, trying to find Kelechi Iheanacho. The Manchester City man did well, put some pressure on Gabriel, and he wins the throw. For once, Leicester quickly move that ball, and they get their just desserts of a throw in an attacking area of the field.
Yeah, it's interesting because actually I was, as a defender, you'd probably be thinking, oh, just hold the ball for me for a minute, let us get set. And he's launched it for a counter-attack. Now you've got to get up the pitch. But Leicester aren't in a rush to do anything quick because they're trying to get their breath back. They're trying to get their energy back.
Absolutely. What can they do from here, I wonder? Little through ball was not particularly well worked. And in the end, Arsenal calmly won that back, not for the first time today. And the two centre-halves bring it forward. Gabriel as far as William Saliba, outstanding on loan at Marseille last season. Ligue 1 Team of the Year, topped about 3 different French top division stats. Great addition back into the squad. Ball over the top to Martinelli, who again controls that well, hugging the near left corner flag. Left edge of the box, Zinchenko tried the through ball to Xhaka, who again was in an advanced position, couldn't quite guide it through, and Didi making the block. Downfield to Tete, the Brazilian controlled that well. Keelan Dewsbury-Hall, left-footed super ball over the top to try and free Harvey Barnes. Barnes quieted this game so far, but it's very hard to beat William Saliba this season. Saliba did well initially, but then overplayed, nearly gave the ball away. William Saliba did all the hard work. Occasionally, the one accusation you could say is it almost comes too easily to him, and he does slightly make the odd mistake when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, occasionally. But I thought with Saliba, he's
so quick.
He's unbelievably quick. He is one of those where it's funny because Arsenal have got so much talent right across the pitch. And you think if they were going to lose one to a big one of the giants of European football, it would be him for me.
Yeah. Well, he is currently in contractual talks to stay beyond this season. Saka starts another move to Martinelli. Picked up well by Xhaka. Oh, Saka probably should have pulled the trigger, but decided to withdraw his foot and let it run for Trossard. In the end, that enabled Leicester to get it partially clear, but Iheanacho can't hold it. Jorginho can. He's pointing forward, asking for movement. Lovely through ball to Martinelli. Left edge of the penalty area. 2 players on it. Back to Xhaka. First time ball to Jorginho. Clever ball through space, and well done Harvey Barnes. If Barnes hadn't stuck out a right boot, Ben White would have been clear, but it's yet another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, and that was a perfect example of what I've been talking about, moving the ball 1 and 2 touch, and when it's done with precision and it's done quickly, it is almost impossible to get it. You're just literally hoping that somebody sticks out a leg and puts it behind, which is what's happened there. It's brilliant stuff from Arsenal.
Still though, they haven't scored. 25 and a half gone. Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. Arsenal 4 corners to 0, 6 shots to 0. But the key one on the big scoreboard to our left reads nothing each. Saka's in swinging corner looking for Gabriel or for White. Ward again comes unconvincingly, partially fists it clear. Shot into the corner! An absolute beauty from Leandro Trossard. It's his second in Arsenal colours. It was a bending, picture-perfect arrow into the top corner. Could you argue he's holding Barnes very slightly, or is Barnes' left arm wrapped around White's as much as vice versa there as well?
He is. Do you know? I think he's definitely got. He's definitely holding. He's definitely holding what? Yeah, that's what he's giving it for. He's holding Ward's arm, and that's what he's saying. Do you know, when I first saw it, I thought it was Barnes' hand. That's why I thought he's not going to get this free kick. He's definitely holding Ward's hand.
I'm still not sure that's enough to rule that goal out, though.
No, I don't think it is.
You're going to get a bit of jockeying, a bit of jostling in the penalty area.
Yeah.
That was so minimal.
Yeah.
You'd have to rule out almost every goal from any set piece in any game of football if you rule that one out.
Yeah, it's really generous. It's really, really generous. Just having another look back at it. He's got hold of his arm, but, this is the thing with VAR, isn't it? You can see things, but you can't tell how hard it's holding.
That's not a clear and obvious error. That is not a clear and obvious error. Not even close to it.
No.
That's re-reffing a game through VAR.
Yeah,
that's not using VAR for what it's actually there for.
And Arteta is absolutely bemused. He's crossing his hands over as if to say the game's gone. He's laughing.
You might as well not have an on-field ref and let them ref the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
What's
the point? What is the point? What is the point in going to a monitor if someone's told you to go there because there's a foul? You may as well just give it there in Stockley Park, as you say.
2 players with arms a little bit wrapped around each other, and the keeper who comes unconvincingly, and that's enough for a superb strike into the corner to be ruled out.
Yeah, and that is the shame of the whole situation, is in that it was a fantastic goal. It really, really was.
Leicester fans would obviously disagree, and anyone who doesn't want Arsenal to win the title, so City, United, Spurs fans, all of that lot, they're all probably happy, which is admittedly a decent chunk of our audience. But for everybody else, I think the game and football has suffered there, because a really good goal, that's a terrific highlight, shown around the world, that now never happens. I don't see how anybody wins there.
Yeah, no, it is. It's such a shame, and the fans get all excited.
We got all excited.
And it just, you're kind of sedating the game, aren't you? But in the context of this game, it's probably the best thing that could have happened because,
it keeps it level.
Yeah,
keeps Arsenal motivated for sure. Arteta saying, think to his players. Don't let this be the moment that you bow your heads. That said, Zinchenko with a ropey header, through ball. Onside Iheanacho for now, into the corner. I think now the offside flag will go up. It does, but for a second, Kelechi Iheanacho, and of course the ruling is to keep it down, to keep play live in case of a mistake. He finishes to his credit past Ramsdale, but I think we all felt in real time there that there was an offside.
Yeah, do you know, it's a brilliant line. It's a brilliant line from Gabriel and Saliba as well, who's looking down the line. They know he's offside.
But the official's doing the right thing to keep his flag down.
Let it play out. But he's a good couple of yards off. It's a nice finish, actually. A little dink over Ramsdale.
So a goal disallowed for each team, but one far more controversial than the other, I can tell you. 0-0, 31 gone, Premier League live. Still 0-0 Everton, Aston Villa. Leeds, Southampton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest as well. As Arsenal come down the right through White. Ødegaard lets it run, looking for Saka. Nearly lost it, but Xhaka won it back well to Trossard. Now to Gabriel Martinelli. Right foot, left edge of the penalty area. Twisting, turning. Clever ball in field to Trossard. Back to Martinelli. As the two exchange passes on the edge of the D. Now Jorginho. Arsenal back to the right to White. Appeals for a penalty. Was Saka brought down? He's convinced he was tugged in the back. If there was a tug to stop the goal earlier, was there a tug this time the other way on the Arsenal player? That's the questions being asked. Nothing given for now. Will VAR look at this and call the referee back? We'll see. For now, though, Arsenal try to at least be the people in charge of their own destiny, take ownership and try and get the ball into the net again. Ødegaard's effort was blocked. Are we going to VAR or have we got an offside? I think we've got an offside. Goodness me, it's all happening, mate.
It is.
All happening.
It is. And what was actually impressive was Arsenal just kept playing. Oh, do you know what?
Well, foot fast, falls over and then brings Saka down. He trips and then grabs hold of Saka as he's falling. Sorry, Suter, beg your pardon.
Suter, and he's got his arms around Saka, and he might even have clipped his foot as well, which is what made him tumble in the first instance. Yeah, I think he's just caught the back of Saka's foot, and that's what's brought them both to the ground, but he's got his arms around him.
So Suter's got his arms around Saka, but that isn't a penalty. But the decision earlier was enough the other way to rule out a goal. I don't understand the consistency there.
It really is.
Well, there
bizarre.
isn't any.
No, it is just, it's odd. And the most annoying thing with VAR is no one has to come out and explain it.
No, unless it's so bad as we had, funnily enough, with the combination of the three problems 2 weeks ago, that there has to be a meeting, and then obviously you then learn what's happened in the meeting. You learn one VAR guy's been sacked, and that there's been promise that there will be a massive upturn in standards and that this will never happen again. This just happened again a fortnight later for me.
Yeah.
With the rules of football, and a lot of them being imperfect and, not clear cut, is VAR ever going to be perfect? I don't think it can be, because I don't think it can ever be a precise science if you use VAR in such a kind of intense and such a marginal way.
Yeah, I think a bit of human error, actually, in a funny way, is good for the game. Look, you can use it for offsides if you want. That's a kind of a black and white issue. You're either offside or you're not.
Even then, though, the toenail and where's the arm
I don't agree
and all
with
of
where
that.
they're taking the line from at the moment. But that could be sorted out. But for the other thing is, why is the referee there then?
So much of football is subjective, let's be honest.
Yes.
So much of it is. So we go back to that point that if it's not clear and obvious, VAR shouldn't be getting involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't think they've got the authorities have got it right.
So despite everything that's happened in recent weeks, still that controversy continues. We'll park that for now and we'll move on with the game. 33 gone, Premier League live. Still, Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. Brent Parker, huge Arsenal fan, sending the boys in the booth today some sporting proper colours. Yeah, absolutely. Red and white this time on the burgers in the cafe in Drummond, Montana. He had controversial blue and white paper around his burgers the other day, which for an Arsenal fan I couldn't believe. But red and white today, another cracking burger as everyone listens in the cafe in Drummond. Oh, looks absolutely gorgeous. Everything on that. Fries on the side. Brent, we would kill for one of those at half time, wouldn't we?
I would. You know what? He's disagreed vehemently with my 2-2, and he might be right about it, but I tell you what, it makes a cracking burger.
Brent, very much across my 3-1. We shall see, my friend. But yeah, that burger looks brilliant. send one over, and we would do that some serious damage at half-time. Nice ball over the top from the Gunners. White in field to Saka, back to White. Taken about 4 Leicester players out of the game and gained about 40 yards with that long ball over the top. But now it's all gone a little bit one-paced again. Has White been taken out by Christensen? Possibly. Referee happy for play to go on, I guess kind of with a pseudo advantage, as Arsenal still have the ball through Zinchenko. He guides it nicely around Tete, the Brazilian. Xhaka out to the near stand side to Martinelli. 35 on the clock, still 0-0 somehow. Zinchenko back to Martinelli, clever reverse pass with his weaker right foot. Martinelli twisting, buzzing, turning, trying to engineer something 10 yards out. Still trying to get his cross in, finds Jorginho, and Dennis Praet did well. Stuck to the Italian, made the challenge, and that enables Leicester to counter through Kiernan at Dewsbury Hall. Had options on both sides, opted for Iheanacho over Barnes to the right. Iheanacho waits, that enables 3 Arsenal players to get back, but Kelechi Iheanacho still did well, took it round Martinelli, played it back as far as Ndidi, but the break has kind of been stifled a tad. We'll come back to that in a moment because they have retaken it out wide, Leicester, as far as Harvey Barnes. Nice ball through. Tete can't quite get there on the edge of the box, stretching to get a shot away. Martinelli did well, and in the end picked the pocket of Tete. Brazilian on Brazilian. Martinelli tries to sear downfield, but just takes the ball out of play on the halfway line.
Yeah, it all comes from Martinelli. It must have been frustrating everybody waiting for a cross in the box, and it must have frustrated Arteta as well from the sidelines because he's chopping in one way and chopping the other. It's like I said earlier, hard and low. You're in the box, hard and low, and you never know where it might go. And in the end, he put his team on the back foot and Leicester countered.
Christopher Meakin, also from Littleton, Pennsylvania. So it sounds like Littleton is very much behind this game and all listening in, which is very, very good to hear. Shout out to you guys at TalkSport Live as Leicester tried to come forward through Iheanacho, lost his footing, and inadvertently, I think, as Gabriel tried to clear the ball, Iheanacho was falling toward him. Iheanacho's head has made contact with Gabriel's foot. I don't think there was anything untoward there.
No.
Hopefully nothing too major in terms of contact. I think we'll be okay to continue.
Well, Gabriel's making sure he's okay, which means he may well have caught him here somehow. Let's have a look.
Yeah,
just on the follow.
He's just falling, isn't he?
Yeah, just on the follow through as he clears that ball with his left foot.
Joseph Stazione, shout out to my fellow runners, tweeting on walks in Philadelphia. Good to hear from you, my friend. A new fan hoping for lots of goals, but a draw at the final whistle. So Joe wants lots of entertainment, but not an Arsenal win. Well, at the moment, we've got the draw for you. And we've had drama and controversy as Timothy Castagna puts it across from the far side for Leicester, but overhits it off balance. And Arsenal's right back, Ben White, smacks the ball downfield. Long, meaty clearance, looking for Trossard, who's not the tallest playing centrally. That's one thing you do lose when you play an extra winger-ish man up front. And Harry Souttar, the Australian, easily won that one. Leicester recycled for a moment as Tete tries to play a 1-2 with Iheanacho. Great sliding challenge from Gabriel, but his ball to Martinelli wasn't great. That allows Tete, another Brazilian, to sear forward. He's upended, and I think Martinelli might go in the book there for tripping Tete. And Leicester have got a free kick as well.
Yeah, and here's a yellow card for Martinelli. Just decided that move couldn't carry on. He had to do something about it. I'm not sure it was perhaps as desperate as he felt it was. He had Gabriel in front of him, Zinchenko chasing back as well. Anyway, nonetheless, it's a yellow card, and it's quite a good area for Leicester to swing this into the box.
Most certainly is. So still goalless Everton, Aston Villa, goalless in that big one at the bottom, Leeds and Southampton, still goalless West Ham, Nottingham Forest. Here, 0-0, 38.5 in. Arsenal with a Trossard goal controversially ruled out by VAR, and Iheanacho with the goal correctly ruled out by VAR. It can easily be 1-1. It's 0-0. And it's Dennis Praet to take the free kick that Dave described. Souttar heads it across goal, looking for Fast. And there's an offside over on the far side. I think Souttar maybe had just ghosted into an offside position, either he or another of those Leicester players down that left flank. We stay 0-0. Leicester could lose 5 straight league games against Arsenal for the first time in 91 years. Looked that way until that one goal was ruled out. Also hoping to keep 3 straight away league clean sheets at Leicester for the first time since 1925. And with Iheanacho's goal ruled out, that is still potentially the case as well. Arsenal have won their last 3 trips to Leicester in all competitions, and 4-2 at home earlier this season, and 2-0 last season as well. So largely, they've very much got the dominance in this fixture in recent times. 39.5 gone. Remains Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. Saliba over the top looking for Xhaka. Ball goes loose. Castagne's header again, not the most convincing. Ødegaard breathing down his neck. Boot fast makes the challenge behind for another Arsenal corner. I make that their 5th of the game at least.
Yeah. The pressure is mounting from set pieces. I was just about to say before that ball went forward, actually, that this is a sort of a dangerous time of the game for Leicester, where it's getting towards half-time. You think you've done enough to get in 0-0, and then suddenly you concede a sloppy one.
Little delay between Ødegaard and Trossard. I think it's going to be Trossard to bend it in. It is. Flicked on. Goodness me. What I think they intended was Zinchenko to flick it on, but Zinchenko missed it. Martinelli wasn't expecting it. It ended up smacking Martinelli in the face and going out for a goal kick.
Yeah, we used to do that corner as well, where you put 2 on, because you can't always be quite as pinpoint as you would like. So you put 2 at the front post. So the first one misses the flick, the second one gets it.
Or is it
when you get it wrong,
the second one in the
when
face?
you get it wrong, it smacks the second one.
Which is exactly what happened there. So poor old Gabriel Martinelli has been yellow carded and has taken the ball clean on the noggin, both in the space of the last 5 minutes. This is the same man who scored that sublime 98th minute breakaway to an unguarded net in the last game. The highs and the lows of being a Premier League striker. Dave, you know all about that, don't you, mate?
Mostly the lows, yeah.
Oh, come on, you better. Better. Saka under pressure from a combination of Christensen and Dewsbury Hall. 41 gone, at least wins the throw. Think back inside Arsenal territory on this occasion. Leicester with just 12 points out of a possible 33 at home. Second worst in the Premier League, that record this season, to Southampton. Have scored 23 goals in the first half, but have conceded a league-high 23 in the second half. So that's another thing here. Leicester can often capitulate in the second half of games if they've been particularly stretched and tired. That's what Arsenal are trying to do, but Zinchenko's through ball was poor. I like the look of Kidd and Dewsbury Hall playing deep. He's looked pretty tidy. He's made the interception there. Then he's brought the ball forward as far as Harvey Barnes. Barnes has got White on him and is forced back. I like Dewsbury Hall dropping deeper. I think he's got a lot to offer.
He's so comfortable on the ball, and he can see you can see him as well, looking, and that's that same problem that we identified earlier, where you finally win the ball back, you look up, and everyone's running away from you.
Initially, he won the ball there as well, but 2 Arsenal players on the young number 22 just about won the day through sheer weight of numbers. Zinchenko through to Saka. This is more promising. Ødegaard to Martinelli. Left edge of the box once more. Is he going to shoot this time? He is, but he was off balance, and in the end, off his left foot, Martinelli shanked that one out of play, and it flies high into the crowd, behind for a goal kick.
Well, I don't know. Is he shooting there?
I think so. I thought he was. You tell me. Have a look at the
really,
replay.
It's a really acute. Yeah, I think he probably is, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
He's never going to score from there. But that's what I say about. It's just a little tweak in this second half. If the coach can say he's getting in those great areas, like real penetrating the box really, really well. But the final ball has been poor for Martinelli this afternoon.
Robert saying there's an electric atmosphere up at Everton, even though the game is currently goalless. And Lee Hart driving through Alberta on his way to Chicago, crossing the border from Canada into the USA. Got a tanker full of frozen rhubarb, which the Ants like to make into rhubarb wine.
Lovely.
What a wonderful
My dad
tweetling.
used to make rhubarb wine. How weird is that? Yeah, it's absolutely potent.
I bet this would be potent as well.
Yeah,
Lee, I'd love to try a bit of the rhubarb wine that's currently in your tanker before it's fermented. Nice picture as well of roadside USA and roadside Canada, looking frozen and nippy as Lee listens in his truck at TalkSport Live. Wherever you are around the world, let us know. If you can beat Lee's frozen rhubarb being taken across the border, we'll be impressed. Keep your tweets coming in. Plenty more to read out in a moment. But here's Martinelli, who's had a couple of ropey moments in the last few minutes, but brings that one down beautifully from those leaden skies on his left boot. To Xhaka, to Zinchenko. Arsenal being pegged back a tad, but trying to put a bit more purpose and drive back into this attack. William Saliba, again, head up, wearing 12. Infield to Jorginho, tries to dink one over the top, and it's a lovely ball to Zinchenko, who's in space. First time cross, flat, low cross, left edge of the area. Trossard, but in between a combination of Xhaka and Ødegaard, and for a second, Leicester nearly broke clear through Iheanacho.
He was one-on-one, and you know, that's not the first time his controls let him down. He just needed to get hold of that ball. He might not have run away from Saliba, but at least he would have given his team a breather.
Jorginho over the top to Saka. Foul, I think, on Saka this time. Death by 1,000 cuts. He was being tugged at, and eventually Craig Pawson was blowing the whistle for the free kick. Rodgers is unhappy. Leicester's fans are unhappy, but for me, that's probably fair enough.
Yeah, well, Rodgers has clearly identified the problem, because I've been watching that side. Christensen, who was run ragged in the first 20 minutes, and they've given him some help now over on that side. And to be honest, it's been working, because I haven't really seen much of Saka in the last 10 or so minutes.
We haven't, but he is a player of such quality.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly.
Even if you just sleep on him for a moment, you are made to pay more often than not. We tick toward time added on. Free kick to Arsenal, about 35 yards out, about 10 yards in from the far corner flag. It's going to be taken by Ødegaard. 2 additional minutes we've just seen on the fourth official screen. Robert Jones, our fourth official today, holding that up. Ødegaard's delivery, overhit. Appeals potentially for a penalty. Christensen's gone down, but did he block the path of Gabriel? Quick appeal, nothing given, and we play on.
Yeah, well, they did block him. They were so narrow. They weren't going to let anyone run through them. They were so tight together that, well, it was a back 6 in the end, really. There's no way anyone was ever going to get through them.
Long ball downfield from Suter, over the head of Tete to Zinchenko. Back as far as Aaron Ramsdale. Millwall on tour, listening from Delaware, USA. Ian says Arsenal to win 2-0 today. Next season, Millwall to be promoted. Then we'll have the London derby, Arsenal-Millwall back. If we do, be afraid, very afraid, says Ian. Excellent work. Long ball through from Jorginho to Saka. It's just a bit too powerfully hit. Saka couldn't quite control it. That allowed Christensen to get there first. Ball over the top was a good one from Barnes to Pratt. Now to Iheanacho over the top. Barnes is onside, but it's well read by Aaron Ramsdale, who came hurtling out to the edge of his penalty area, and like any good goalkeeper should, just nicely in position.
Do you know, that is the first time Arsenal were caught out. They were just a bit too high up the pitch, and they had no right to be, because Iheanacho had good possession of the ball. And a better pass.
Gabriel over the top. Here's Martinelli putting some pressure on. Food Fast has got to be very, very careful. Danny Ward had come out of his goal. Fast then lost the ball, having done just about enough to get it to partial safety. Ward goes scurrying back as Xhaka couldn't get a shot in. He was under too much pressure. Had to go laterally to Jorginho, who's also under pressure. And in the end, the ball doesn't go out of play, or does it? Gabriel tries to keep it in. White, beg your pardon. No, he can't. Just for a second, Arsenal had that glimmer. And by hook or by crook, Leicester have kept them out.
It's amazing, isn't it? All that great play, all moving the ball quickly around the box. One long ball, and suddenly all...
Everyone's at 6s and 7s, and there's mayhem. I agree. Spurs fan from southeast Pennsylvania, Tim, loving the commentary on a cool Saturday morning. Tim, I'm sure as a Tottenham man, you want Arsenal to lose. They should really be ahead. Leandro Trossard with a lovely shot into the top corner. Ruled out by VAR for a minimal foul by Ben White and a combination of Danny Ward and Harvey Barnes. Leicester then with the goal themselves ruled out for what was a clear offside against Kelechi Iheanacho. Arsenal have huffed and puffed, had tons of chances, loads of possession, loads of corners, but they've not scored yet. At the break, Leicester 0, Arsenal 0, Premier League Live. City against Arsenal from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves. Alongside me, former Stoke City and Reading striker Dave Kitson. This is Premier League Live. Goalless at the break, Dave, and still the big talking point was Trossard's disallowed strike. I've been chatting to producer Jamie about it. He feels that you can understand why it's ruled out, which I get. I don't necessarily agree, because I think you rule that out. You rule out almost every goal ever from any corner, because there's always a bit of jostling. Anyway, but if you do say, fair enough, there was a tiny touch, why then can't you give the Saka one when Souttar's basically rugby tackled him, tripped him, fallen into him, brought him down? If you're not going to give one for the reason we've outlined, you surely have to then give the other.
I agree, and I think we get into this real dangerous horses for courses, which is, that would be a free kick if it was in that part of the pitch, and that would be a free kick if it was a striker and not a centre half.
Well, rugby tackling somebody on the 6-yard box is a free kick anyway.
If Saka runs across the halfway line and Souttar runs after him, clips him, and then drags him down, it's probably a free kick and a yellow card. But in the box, it's so easy for referees to be subjective, to make their lives easier, if you like.
Which goes back to how that and VAR, they don't mix, because they're two totally different ideologies.
Yeah, of course. And even if the referee doesn't think it's about somebody sitting in Stockley Park, maybe thinks it does, well, that just comes down then to interpretation by two different human beings.
And then the ref, like in rugby union, the ref should then have the final say.
Yes. Yeah. I just think it's a bit of a mess at them. I don't think it's made life easier at all. I think it's made it a lot more complicated.
There we go. Give us something to talk about. Anyway, 0-0. Arsenal massively on top. Denied there. And they need to pull their finger out in the second half, because otherwise, Man City, if it stays 0-0, would have the chance to go level back on points later when they play against Bournemouth. And of course, if they got the win then, they would go back, because of that goal difference, to the top of the table for a few more days. Very, very exciting. We'll hear from Pep Guardiola and Gary O'Neill ahead of that game in a moment, but let's just rewind first of all to how game week 25 started. Honours even between Fulham and Wolves at Craven Cottage last night, with the former Fulham fullback Paul Parker alongside the excellent James Fielden.
Forward by Dawson, on by Sarabia. Into Jimenez, who controls. Back to Sarabia again, who had that chance a minute ago. He'll play left now into Mateus Nunes, who can run, but he'll cross instead high towards Jimenez round the back, and this time Sarabia on his right, finds the net for Wolves. Pablo Sarabia with his first Wolves goal makes up for his error a minute ago, and the old gold lead in West London.
Well, I have to say, Wolves have deserved it his last 5 minutes, the way they've attacked. They had a lot of the ball early in the game, nothing at all in the final third, but the way they've gone, and the counter-attack was wonderful as well.
Solomon curling one here, what a goal! Manor Solomon with a touch of genius to pull Fulham level. He's shown what he's all about in recent times, and that was a stunner.
I think he's ran towards the manager to say, when are you going to start me? He brings him on and somebody comes and keeps scoring, and out of nothing, Fulham have got themselves back in the game.
1-1, James Field and Paul Parker commentary team to start our match week on Premier League Live. And remember, goalless in our game somehow, and still 0-0 between between Everton and Aston Villa, Leeds and Southampton, West Ham and Nottingham Forest, Palace against Liverpool to come, 7:45 UK with Toby Gillis and Paul Mortimer. And up after us from 5:15, Tim Long and Kev Watson will guide you through Bournemouth against Manchester City. City the champions, as we say, looking to go back top if Arsenal don't win this game. Bournemouth, one of those four teams who really look to be slugging it out to avoid the dreaded drop. Will it be 3 from 4? Cherry's certainly among that list. It's now 2 years as either a coach or now manager for Gary O'Neill. Let's hear from him, followed by City's Pep Guardiola.
Enjoyable, firstly. I think obviously stopping playing is never easy, especially when it's an injury that causes it. So to go from stopping playing, doing a little while at Liverpool, who helped me, of course. So, and then come down here to help Jonathan, and we fell just short of promotion the first time, but one of the remits when I came to the club was to help the club get back to the Premier League, so pleased that I managed to play a part in that at the second time of asking. And now obviously roles have changed a little bit, and I'm responsible for trying to keep the club in the Premier League, which is what I spend most of my time now working on. So I've enjoyed it. It's a fantastic club, good people, good staff, fantastic group of players willing to work, and a fan base that are always behind the players and support it the best they can. So an enjoyable couple of years for me.
Striker is the more difficult position in the world because they have two players just focus on him, and now rarely have an extra more. So it's not easy to do that. So I would like to see in my period here, strikers that we had, like Sergio or Gabriel, when they play proper striker, no fast nine, or more than different ways, how many balls they touch. So I don't know. I don't have a statistics, but always it was it's not had the ball striker, had the ball striker, had the ball striker. Like happened against Arsenal, because Arsenal man-to-man, you should play more long balls. So our process is more, and then the final action is there. But even with that, we have to all the time where is him? Where is him? Where is him?
Pep Guardiola. Before that, Gary O'Neill, and Pep going back to the point we mentioned right at the top of the show, which is all those missed chances and Man City somehow not getting that killer second against Forest last week.
Yeah, and it could be big. There's always one game you look back on, and I think it wasn't even that they didn't play well. The second half, I thought they were very, very good, but just. Listen, the ball falls to Haaland 4 yards out. You generally expect
hits the bar,
inevitable,
and then it comes back to him. And this time it's even more unguarded because the keeper's on his backside, and then he puts it into about row F.
It is bizarre. But for all that, look, Haaland is not the problem at City.
You don't forget Foden, by the way, through one-on-one with Haaland to his left, then also fell over in a one-on-one.
Yes,
that was arguably not even worse, but close.
Yeah, Haaland is absolutely not the issue. So you don't score that many goals, he's not the issue. He's a fantastic footballer. The issue for me is that something doesn't feel right amongst the squad. I don't know whether the nucleus of it has been together for too long and it needs supplementing. There's just some odd things. There's some things like Bernardo Silva being the deepest man on the ball a lot. Every now and again's okay, but it's almost like a sweeper at times. And then you think, well, you're so good up the other end of the pitch. What is that about?
My one is that Nathan Ake is the naturally left-footed one. So if you're going to play three at the back, he has to be, in all the games, all the big games, the left-footed centre-half. But Pep doesn't always play him there. Then you've got right-footers and people like Bernardo having to try and track back and cover that area.
Yeah.
I don't understand that bit of it.
No, it's odd. And I think with Guardiola as well is that he probably listens to all of this, and or maybe not this, but he probably listens to all these people having these opinions, and he probably just laughs his head off. But just looking at it objectively, it maybe just because last year they were so good, possibly the best Premier League team ever. That's a hard thing to keep up.
Will Pep over-tinker somehow and possibly give a chink of light to Bournemouth, just ultimately like happened against Forest in this very slot last week? Anyway, 5:30, Tim Long, Kev Watson, Bournemouth, Man City. We're live to the boys from 5:15. Here, it's goalless somehow. Snort need to stick that ball in the net and make it count. Can they do it? Leicester, Arsenal, second half to come in a moment. Where else? Right here on Premier League Live. Leicester City against Arsenal from the King Power Stadium. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former Stoke City and Reading striker Dave Kitson. This is Premier League Live. Perfect timing as the players make their way out for the second half in front of us. No changes as far as we can surmise. First half that saw Gabriel Martinelli yellow carded, saw Leandro Trossard's goal overturned by VAR. Kelechi Iheanacho's goal also overturned, not by VAR, but just quite rightly the referee's assistant delaying his flag. Arsenal utterly dominant in many of the stats, but they've still not legally, rightly or wrongly, found a way past Danny Ward in the Leicester goal, and that has to change. Surely this kind of game is just the one that Arsenal must win. You can't keep going to the well like they did against Aston Villa last time out with 2 injury time goals. In some matches, Dave, in a title race, you've just got to dictate, ride your luck. When bad luck comes, get your way through it and just win. And just deliver, and that's what they've got to do in this next 45.
Yeah, they have to. And I think for Leicester, it's can you get 2 halves where Arsenal were as dominant as that, and you can still keep them out? I'm not so sure.
We are underway for the second half. Premier League Live, Leicester 0, Arsenal 0. Leicester in their all blue with white trim, now kicking from right to left, and Arsenal in their traditional red and white, going from left to right. As Gabriel finds Alexander Zinchenko. He boots the ball downfield. It's intercepted by the excellent Keenan Dewsbury Hall, who was probably one of the players in the first half for me, actually. He was really good.
Yeah, it was a fairly decent defensive display, but everything good that they did going forward generally went through him as well.
He was like the link man, wasn't he? Absolutely. Arsenal certainly had their moments. Trossard convinced he'd scored a beauty. Not to be. Massive 45 minutes ahead, as we say. Gabriel with a stout challenge to get there ahead of Tete, the on-loan Brazilian. Ball forced to Trossard, clever through ball to Martinelli! It took 51 seconds of the second half for Gabriel Martinelli to feed from the through ball from Odegaard. It's a beautiful, calm, composed finish into the corner. This one surely won't be taken away from the Gunners. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, the worry for Arsenal, though, is that there's some concern around Martinelli because he slotted it beautifully in, but he's clutching his knee and screaming, and the players are concerned for him there. I didn't see what happened. I was watching the ball roll in because I didn't know whether Saka or not was going to tap it in.
Good job he did, because he might have been offside. So wisely, Saka withdrew his foot and let the ball trickle in through Martinelli. Great finish, 1-0. But a big concern for Martinelli. He is in serious pain already. 2 medical assistants are there on the floor attending to Gabriel Martinelli. Let's have a little look here. So, wonderful little through ball. Martinelli, I think, did he slide and fall under his own steam? Let's have a look at the replay here. So it's Gabriel who beats Tete to the ball. Over the top to Trossard. It's Trossard's through ball. Martinelli, I don't think he's even touched. I've got a feeling he falls just having shot. I'm not sure there's even a touch from the defender. I don't think there is. I think, or is he just caught very late in the aftermath?
Yeah,
or he is caught very late in the aftermath. Fair enough.
It's completely accidental. He just gets trodden on, and his leg's in a bit of an unnatural position. I'm not sure if he'll carry. I mean, it's a wonderful finish.
So he's stretched. He's guided the ball in, as you say, very adeptly. Yeah. And then the defenders come back, not got there, tried to make the block, planted their foot, not deliberately, but that foot has then just nicked off the knee of Martinelli. It's not even full contact. It's just a nick. But just as Martinelli's going down, that nick is just on the edge of the knee in a very, to put it mildly, inopportune moment.
Yeah, it is, because his leg is bent towards the floor, and having done this injury myself a number of times, it's just where your medial ligament on the inside of your knee opens up more than it should.
So it's been bent the wrong way. Yeah. Only a tiny bit,
but it can be enough, and it is really painful as well. Hopefully he'll be okay to carry on, but that is, if he's tweaked it even slightly, he'll have to come off.
So Martinelli scores, and I'm convinced there's no way this goal will be taken away. And I don't think there's an argument to look at necessarily any further censure on the player who was back. Didn't even see who it was. Was it Ndidi?
I think it's Ndidi chasing him down.
There's certainly a goal, and there's no censure for Ndidi. Martinelli, the goal stands, and he gets his 9th of the season. And even more importantly, he is hobbling a bit, but Martinelli's trying to run it off. But Arsenal have given the ball away. What were they doing? For a moment, Harvey Barnes at the other end was twisting and turning, tried to find Pratt, couldn't do so, and Arsenal hacked it to safety. We talk about being your most vulnerable when you've just scored. They utterly switched off from the restart.
It's a bizarre start to the game. It really, really is. I'm just watching the goal back as well. There's a nutmeg in there. Indeed, he's not tracking Martinelli very well. It's a great start for Arsenal, but really they almost undid all their good work. There was some sloppy work at the back.
Yeah, the way that Odegaard to Trossard moved that ball to free Martinelli, a combination of the pair was absolutely beautiful. At the other end, Leicester ask another question. Dewsbury Hall downfield looking for Barnes. And this time Ben White makes the interception. 49 gone, Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. It's a Leicester throw, taken by Christensen, midway inside the Arsenal half on the near stand side. Got a good view of this one as Christensen dinks it through to Iheanacho. He tries an off-balance back heel. White then slips. Ugly. Saliba thinks it's a goal kick, and he's right. That was not a pretty passage of play. Football was not the winner.
No, it certainly wasn't. And I think Christensen might have got himself a corner there if he hadn't thrown his head back as if to say, I can't believe I just kicked that out, because I'm not sure the referee saw it clearly.
Wasn't the most sort of subtle, clever bit of play, was it? Yes, I agree with you. 1-0. Play back underway. Brooker DeWitt's on the Sea to Sky Highway, listening to VAR derail the sport of football. Nice picture as he drives with Sirius satellite radio on. And Brooker, I understand your point. There was massive controversy in that first half, but Arsenal, just like we said, Dave, they needed to do, they've taken ownership of their bad luck, ownership of the situation, and scored a legal goal a minute into the second half. You can't really ask any more. Tom Kilney, Arsenal being victimised by VAR again. If they win the league, it'll be despite the misappropriation of technology. #disgusted. Well, Tom, I can understand your point. And yet again, I say, Arsenal have ridden that and been positive and let a genuine goal then do the talking.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit of credit to Arteta as well, because he's installed that mentality into his team, which is, listen, whatever happens to us, we just keep going. Our heads don't drop. We don't argue about it. We just get going.
That's exactly what has happened. Ball over the top, though. Potential handball, I thought, by Barnes there, but play goes on. He's rampaging forward. Harvey Barnes, good delivery. Tete nearly nicked in at the far post. He was being shackled just about closely enough by Alexander Zinchenko. Good play from Barnes, and Leicester probably about 3 inches away from making contact and making it 1-1.
Yeah, he's up against Ben White. Ben White, he gives him so much space to go on the outside. It's a dream of a ball. To be honest, I can't actually believe he's missed that on the far post. It looks more difficult to miss, so just throw yourself at it and get a touch. Well, I think you should.
Zinchenko just about did enough, didn't he, basically?
Yeah, but I think he's missed the ball. I think he's just mistimed it and missed the ball. I think he should be doing a lot better.
Rickety from Arsenal, 52 gone, Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. Saliba starts another counter, though, as far as White, who is not perhaps the offensive threat that Tomiyasu is in that position, but as we saw with Tomiyasu coming back into the team against Man City, did not go well. White got his place straight back again. It continues to be the first choice right back for Arsenal. Now was Xhaka pulled? He was. Tete had a pull at his shirt. Slightly theatrical Downing, but we'll still get the free kick, and that's not a bad position either.
No, this is not bad. This can be whipped into the box. It's close enough. And Arsenal these days, some big lads in the team. It wasn't always the case.
Free kick to Arsenal, 52 and a half gone. Shannon Blythe, I asked and you guys delivered on my run. It went well, pretty much with them all the way through. And Brent's food to recover would suit me nicely. Shannon, well said. I think we all want one of those burgers. That TalkSport Live. Davis Whitman on the Sea to Ski Highway, slightly different one up in Whistler. Come on, you Gunners, says Davis. Nice picture. Appreciate that. That TalkSport Live as Arsenal come forward again. Chance for a second. Odegaard weaving his way through to Martinelli. He tried a little cross shot through a sea of bodies. In the end, no one made contact. Ward grabs it gleefully.
It's interesting, though, because in the first half, he wasn't doing that. He was sort of chopping, and at this time, it's like we said, Arteta has told him, listen, if you get into those situations, low and hard across the box.
Or the knock to the knee means he can't do it.
Or maybe he can't, maybe
could be either. Could be a tactical decision to be more direct, or it could be I can't twist and turn at the moment because I'm not quite sure about my knee.
No, that's a fair point. It's the right ball to play in any case.
Maybe it'll help him having the slight knock to the knee because it forces him to be a bit more direct. Who knows?
Yeah, he's still I'm just looking on the far, so he's still holding his...
So there's the option of Nketiah to come on centrally and put Trossard back. There's the option of Vieira Smith Rowe, certainly some good options. Reece Nelson not in the matchday squad today. And Arsenal have got 3 other good, healthy options if they need them, if they decide it's not worth risking Gabriel Martinelli for much more of this game. Remember, the Europa League is back soon as well. Arsenal group winners, so straight through to the last 16. They were drawn yesterday against Sporting Lisbon. So they've got that to come. They've got a big midweek catch-up game against Everton in the Premier League as well, which I'm looking forward to working for the club on, and I think that could be a massive one as well. So yeah, Martinelli, you don't necessarily need to keep him out there with all of that in mind and with what's on the bench, I think anyway. Here's Ødegaard, more nice close control to White, to Jorginho. Poor ball, should have done more. Castagna in the end gets it half clear. Great hook sliding challenge though from Xhaka to re-win the ball for Arsenal. Left edge of the box, Zinchenko feigns one way, finds Xhaka, who boots the ball straight into the midriff, bizarrely, of Trossard. Ball goes loose. It was an ugly build-up. Bukayo Saka doesn't care. Pokes it in. Is it 2-0? Linesman's flag is up. We stay 1-0. Keystone Cops build up from Arsenal, and it nearly bamboozled Leicester into a second goal.
The ball fired in from Xhaka into Trossard.
Tell you what, it's close.
It is
very close. The offside.
I think there might be 2. I think there's this one on Martinelli, and then there's this played forward. I think the first one, he might just be offside. They're going to have to check it, obviously. It's very tight.
Well, Saka's behind. You're right, the ball goes forward, but Saka's behind Martinelli.
So that looks okay.
The first one is very, very tight. It's Christensen who might just be playing Martinelli on. It was a really bizarre build-up. Poor old Trossard got the ball booted into his stomach from about 2 feet.
Well, they seem happy enough with the linesman's
Only
decision.
by an inch or 2.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't much more than that.
It's one way to set a goal up. Just completely bemuse the opposition with the weirdest interplay ever, and then poke it home. Offside saves Leicester there. Here they come at the other end. Lovely through ball from Dewsbury Hall to Barnes, who's running at Gabriel. Edge of the box. Good challenge from White, but the ball ricochets back to Harvey Barnes. Bearing 7. Gabriel on him. He's forced back, but finds Woodfass. Nearly something down the left there, Dave.
Yeah, he's getting more of the ball, Harvey Barnes. But he's just... The problem is, you know, Gabriel and Saliba, they're not slouches. They're quick, and he can't really get round them. He's having to wait for support.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Long ball in the end from Leicester, trying to make something happen. It was all too easily cut out. So we stay 1-0 to Arsenal. Goal from Gabriel Martinelli. Saliba forward as far as Jorginho, and it's the Arsenal fans to our right. Big travelling contingent. We're enjoying this one now. White's through ball, looking for Saka, gets the better of Christensen initially. But fair play to Christensen, who stuck to his man. Victor sticks out a Danish boot, and it's behind for another Arsenal corner, won by Bukayo Saka, who I think will take it as well.
Yeah, he does well, Christensen, because he gets caught on the wrong side initially, but he makes a good recovery. It's 6th corner, is it now, for Arsenal against Leicester's none?
Just have a quick look at the computer. Martinelli's goal did go to VAR for a possible offside. So while we were worried about the injury, there was actually a VAR check.
I thought he was.
It was on,
well
obviously,
onside,
but it was looked at. But Arsenal do keep that goal. 57 gone. Arsenal corner taken short by Saka. 1-2 with Ødegaard. Jorginho wants it. And that short corner was far too clever for its own good. And Arsenal in the end don't threaten. But Leicester hack it clear and don't push out. That invites Arsenal on again. Ødegaard, lovely reverse through ball. Saka thinks about the shot. Back heels it to Zinchenko. Got White on one side. Uses the decoy. Wonderful effort from Zinchenko. Great save to his right from Ward. Arsenal come forward again through Martinelli, who keeps the ball alive. But Danny Ward saw it late. Was in a comfortable height. But throwing himself to his right, the Welshman denies Alexander Zinchenko a second goal in 2 games. Got his first for the club last time out against Villa. Very close to his second there. Still Arsenal come forward. Zinchenko again. Camped on the right edge of the penalty area. Back to Ødegaard, who's increasingly pulling those strings. Remember, just for today, he's given the club captaincy ceremonially to Zinchenko. He plays a nice crossfield ball. Martinelli, Xhaka, Jorginho. Good one-touch football. As they incrementally work their way toward the edge of the box. Foul in the end by Timothy Castagna. Brings down his man. And by hook or by crook, as Trossard is felled, Arsenal win a free kick about 2 yards out from the edge of the box on the left-hand side.
Do you know, we used to call them the Red Arrows. It was like playing against the Red Arrows when Arsenal back in the day. And this incarnation of it is as close to that. great team as you're ever going to see. It's almost at times, it sounds ridiculous, but there's almost too many options for the guy on the ball, because he looks at someone, then he sees someone in a better position,
and there's somebody else on his shoulder as well.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's frightening. It'd be horrible to defend against.
The attacking threat stat is an entire red blob for the last 10 minutes. There's not even a bit of blue on it. It's 100% Arsenal. 59 gone. They only lead 1-0 at the moment. We credit Leicester to a good degree for that. But as Martinelli and Ødegaard eye up this free kick a couple of yards just from the edge of the box, so with a nice little bit of angle to the left, this could be the kind of moment that Arsenal really take this game by the scruff of the neck, blow it wide open, and maybe extend their lead. They've won 5 of their last 6 away from home in the Premier League. 28 points on the road is the best of any team in the league. It's 7 more than anyone else. Won 9 away Premier League games this season, Arsenal already, as many as in the whole of the last campaign. They love it on their travels. Can they score here? Ødegaard tries a low free kick under the wall, and I'll be honest, that underwhelmed.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone pull that off since Ronaldinho, and it hasn't stopped people trying for 20 years.
Well, there was no draft excluder today, so maybe because there wasn't a draft excluder, he thought he'd try. As in, a player lying prone on the floor, if you're unaware. But in the end, it didn't matter, because it did not, and wasn't even close to getting through the sea of legs that was holding the wall up. Now, Xhaka's been caught in the head. Was that a high challenge, I think, from Ndidi? I don't think there's going to be a booking, because Xhaka was stooping into the challenge slightly, but he's been caught on the right-hand side of the head, and it's another attacking free kick in a good position for Arsenal.
Yeah, he got a horrible ball given to him as well, head high. He had to put his, with Xhaka, he's going to put his head in there. And I think actually Xhaka's actually telling his teammate, what sort of ball is that?
Seeing a couple of Leicester substitutions. Jamie Vardy will come on. So will Yuri Tielemans. Tete is one of the players coming off. We'll confirm the other one for you in a moment. Tielemans heavily linked to Arsenal for next season when his contract runs out. And Vardy, of course, nearly joined Arsenal a few years ago, and instead basically used them as a patsy to get a far better deal where he was, which was very clever of him.
He's going to have half an hour in the shop window to show him what he can do.
Free kick from Ødegaard. Great delivery. Great save from Ward. It was Gabriel's header from Ødegaard's cross. Trossard was waiting to pounce if necessary as well. Offside flag has since gone up, whether it was for the first chance or maybe latterly, we're not sure. Anyway, probably wouldn't have stood, but Ward, point blank, good save. Yeah, Gabriel maybe half a yard offside.
Yeah, just ahead, just leans forward a touch, which I think is just ridiculous. It's,
like you say, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, it's just. I mean, if you're running in on goal, you're going to be leaning. Who starts off their run bolt upright? It's just crazy.
Iheanacho is the other player to come off. So Kelechi Iheanacho and Tete off. Jamie Vardy, Yuri Tielemans on. Vardy, who's scored many a goal against Arsenal. A career high 11 Premier League goals for Vardy against the Gunners. But as you mentioned, only 1 league goal and only 4 in all comps this season, as he surely comes toward the end of his brilliant late blooming career. And really close to joining Arsenal a few years ago. It's going to be a huge summer signing. In the end, went back to Leicester, got a massive new bumper contract, and it's of course is toward the end of that deal. All those years on,
nobody can say that Jamie Vardy doesn't deserve what he's had at Leicester in that respect. I bet they just cannot even believe. It must be one of the all-time Premier League signings to bring in Jamie Vardy for. I can't even remember how much it was. Was it Fleetwood? It was hardly anything.
Yeah. Then he'd been at Stocksbridge and Halifax and all sorts of tiny clubs, really, hadn't he? It was an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
But absolutely brilliant. And that year they won the title, with Mahrez feeding him, ball over the top, Vardy, bang, bang, goal, almost every week.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Arsenal that year were the only team to beat Leicester home and away, and still they couldn't win the title. Leicester took it, deserved it. And for that and many other reasons, Arsenal's wait for a title is now nearly 20 years in the coming. 2004, as we well know. Is this the year that they finally do it? They're still only 1 up here. As things stand with the live table, it would put them 5 points clear of Man City, having played the same number of games until City play at Bournemouth at 5:30. Team news out for that in 9 minutes' time. I'll cast my eye over that as best I can for you. And we focus here on what's going to happen with these Leicester changes and whether or not they can turn the tide of this match.
I mean, it really is the case that if Arsenal get the second here, that's it. It's game over. But they're still pressing Leicester. And they've been encouraged as well.
They're trying to play out from the back here, Arsenal, being pressed, as Dave says. In the end, they try to be too clever and pretty for their own good, and Harvey Barnes wins it back as far as Dewsbury Hall, but he couldn't really go forward until Christensen dinks it back over the top to the same player. Dewsbury Hall's run, oh my goodness, Jamie Vardy with his first touch, nearly nicked it and slid it home for a second of the season. What a story that would have been, with Vardy back on, trying to roll back the years and impudently nick one in. Gabriel stuck out a boot and stopped it.
Yeah, and that is why you put the ball across the goal, hard and low, because when you've got a natural goal scorer in the middle, he makes those runs. He's been doing them for years, Jamie Vardy. Straight across the near post, get something on it. It's well defended in the end, actually, by Arsenal, but it is a little warning shot. They're not out of this game, Leicester.
And for anybody who thought there was little life left in the old dog, Vardy has got more than a wag left in that tail, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And if this is his last season, he's going to want to do as well as he possibly can. He deserves it for what he's done for this football club.
Nice challenge from Tielemans, the other new man on the field. But did he shove Saliba in the back in the end? The decision is yes. Tielemans was trying to desperately win that ball. Saliba was trying to desperately defend it. They ricocheted off each other about 4 times. In the end, referee Pawson gives the decision to Arsenal.
I think that's the slowest I've ever seen anybody fall over, Saliba.
A slow motion fall. He was still being nibbled at. As we have a look at the Zinchenko goal on the big screen, or the shot, I should say. We have a look at the excellent save that was pulled off by Ward, and was actually dipping the effort as well, so possibly a slightly even better save from Danny Ward than maybe we gave it credit for at the time. 65 and a half gone, Premier League Live. Still goalless West Ham Forest, still goalless Leeds Southampton. There has been a goal in the Everton-Aston Villa game, which we'll go to, I'm sure, over the course of the next few minutes. And then Leicester 0, Arsenal 1 here, Dave. It's all bubbling up nicely, isn't it? We need a few more goals, please, around the country. Come on.
Well, they're nervous games, aren't they? Those games are so big that you get these sort of results where it's no one knows who's going to blink first. But as we enter the business end of these games,
very much
one
so.
Goal either way is absolutely huge.
Totally agree. Fulham Wolves 1-1 yesterday. To come later, Bournemouth Man City, and then Palace Liverpool, Spurs Chelsea, and Man United Newcastle in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley. That's the rest of your live commentary roster here on Premier League Live this weekend. Long ball over the top. Martinelli gets there ahead of Castagna, showing no ill effects from the injury. As far as Trossard weaves his way through 2 players, can't get past a third. To see if Belgians out there as Trossard, Castagna and Tielemans all fight for the ball. It's Belgians everywhere. And in the end, Ndidi, who's not a Belgian, slides in and wins it. Never seen so many Belgians all at once.
No, Trossard had the best of it as far as the Belgians are concerned. His quick feet. I thought he should have gone out to the right. I thought he just had to slide Saka in. He would have been free. There was nobody tracking him. And you see that quite a lot from him and Martinelli. He had so many touches on the ball.
Arsenal 10 attempts in the game, still to Leicester's 0. Leicester a goal down despite just 27% possession. The fact they're only 1 down is intriguing. Jorginho surging forward, Saka too, convinced there was potentially a foul there, but I think nothing's been given and the ball trickles out for no more than a throwdown.
Do you know what? I'd say Christensen's kicked Saka to pieces all afternoon. Saka makes one little stab to try and win the ball back. He's been penalised for it. No wonder he's got a wry smile on his face.
We will take you to that goal at Goodison Park in a moment. Everywhere else is goalless apart from here where there's 1 goal. Free kick. We'll take you straight to that Everton-Aston Villa game and straight to Andrew Self.
Watkins takes a deep breath. Shoulders come up, shoulders go down. Watkins backs off of the ball, goes back, puts it into the centre of the net. Aston Villa take the lead. An Ollie Watkins penalty.
Penalty for Ollie Watkins puts Villa ahead. Pressure back on Sean Dyche and Everton, maybe.
Yeah, that's big. That is big. Because I, to be honest, I had Everton down for a win here.
Here in our game, Ødegaard searing forward to Saka, running at his man. Christensen with the challenge behind for yet another Arsenal corner. Christensen, is he frustrated at the lack of support, or is he trying to argue that should have been a goal kick?
I think he's saying it's a goal kick. He does a good job on Saka here. Doesn't dive in. Seems to time his tackle well. He may have a point.
Now, is he? Yeah. Does he nudge the leg of Saka, and does it therefore come off Saka's leg?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Well, to the naked eye from our angle, it looked like a corner, and that's what's been given, rightly or wrongly. Maybe Arsenal riding their luck this time for this corner kick. We're going to see Trossard come off and Nketiah come on in a moment. Saka's in swinging delivery. Flicked on by Zinchenko under pressure from Ndidi. Gabriel was up there and just about controls the ball on the left edge of the box under pressure from Wout Faes. Is that deflected off fast and behind for a corner? Answer is no. Goal kick, but Gabriel showing his shirt to the referee and saying that Faes was really tugging there as he tried to turn.
Yeah, well, we could show him 20 replays at the other end of him doing the same thing, but...
True. Very true. And Eddie Nketiah does come on, invokes the heavens, just looks up for a little bit of help from those above him. And Leandro Trossard comes off. Another good game from Trossard. To all the while, it looked like he'd scored the opener midway through that first half. Ruled out through VAR, controversially. Trossard stays at one Arsenal goal. And on comes Eddie Nketiah, who's got 9 Arsenal goals so far this season. And Gareth Southgate, the England boss, is watching. Not sure whether Nketiah is quite close enough yet to his radar or not, but wouldn't hurt to put in a good showing, would it?
No. It's just nice to go and watch the football, isn't it, as the England manager?
It's a shame everyone who's watching is Belgium.
That's true. You know, someone said to me the other day, actually, you have to wonder where we'd have been if Rashford had started up front. I said, let's not think about that. Let's just not think about that.
Marcus Rashford outstanding of late, as we well know. A couple of goals against this Leicester team last time out. Very, very good point. 70 gone. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. Still, Everton 0, Aston Villa 1, Leeds 0, Southampton 0. There's some possible drama in the West Ham Nottingham Forest game. Might well have been a goal, but it's going through a lengthy VAR check. I'll let you know what happens there. There's a possible offside. West Ham, have they got the opener or not? We'll take you to that if there's been a goal in the next few minutes. Here Arsenal come forward, another through ball neatly played to Ødegaard, who's running it fast. In the end, just took one too many touches, and a bit like Phil Foden last week, Ødegaard not quite in the clear one-on-one, but fell over himself as he tried to get his shot away ahead of Wout Faes. Wasn't great. Not the Norwegian Messi moment that we've come to expect from Martin Ødegaard, but he is back on form the last game or two after a quiet spell. He's largely coming back to his influential best, I feel.
I think he's been excellent this season. In this game, he's been particularly good, actually. But that was another example we were saying earlier. It sounds really, funny to say it, but so many options around him. He just didn't pick one out.
No, you're right. Embarrassment of riches, I think is the phrase. It's Leicester coming forward at the other end. Castagna in field. Head up from Dennis Praet, another Belgian. He's the only one who wasn't involved in that exchange earlier. He's had a quieter second half, returning from a loan spell over the course of last season. With so many other players leaving, anyone that Leicester owned and had loaned, they pretty much invited back because they had no other options. Castagna is down, but Pawson waves play on! Oh my goodness, that was so close from distance. Super effort from Keelan Dewsbury-Hall. We've said what a good game he is having. Youngster left-footed, low, curling effort. And boy, it was Ramsdale scrambling. And in the end, it was about half a yard wide of target.
Yeah, they're asking for a foul out on the right-hand side. But Dewsbury-Hall doesn't stop. Arsenal actually do stop. And he sets this ball outside the post off his left foot. Maybe Ramsdale's got it covered. Dewsbury-Hall's trying to claim that Ramsdale got a little touch on it. It's a very, very good effort. It's as close as Leicester have come.
I know we touched on it earlier, but I think rather than playing as one behind the front man, as he often has done earlier in the season, I like him deeper, Dewsbury-Hall. I think it's a really good role for him on this evidence.
I agree. He's so comfortable on the ball and he makes things happen. It's just, when you're up there, sometimes when you're up that end of the pitch, particularly against possession-based teams like Arsenal, you're not going to see a lot of the ball.
72 gone, Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. Ball given away. That was cheap from Leicester. Tielemans flashes his eyes back. And then it's given away by Arsenal. Scrappy from both. Leicester initially, Arsenal afterwards, until Nketiah brings the ball down quite delightfully, turns his man, but then turns back into trouble. That trouble was Harry Souttar. Indeed, he then turns into trouble and nearly gives it away. The ball ricochets off Ødegaard as far as Castagna. It's like a hot potato that neither team wants the ball. Both give it away twice each. In the end, Leicester come away with it through Praet. He keeps it in play, right-footed. Good football from Dennis Praet. And a rather aimless cross shot. He was off balance, didn't have much to aim for. And in the end, the ball rather plaintively and lethargically goes out for a goal kick.
It's a tired one, wasn't it? On the stretch. Overhit it. He might just have been better holding that up and waiting for a little bit of support. He does well initially to keep the ball in. He's only got Vardy in there, who's well shackled.
73 and a half gone. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. Keep your tweets coming in at TalkSport Live. Are Arsenal going to hold on in this game and go 5 clear? Are they going to be champions as they play out from the back in very dangerous, rickety fashion? Dewsbury Hall was all over it, but he's adjudged to have fouled his man. Arsenal, some would say needlessly, putting pressure on themselves playing out. Ramsdale played it to Jorginho, who burst forward under pressure. Is there really much of a foul here? Oh, there's a minor bit of contact. Not much. Jorginho really wanted that and got it.
Yeah, very, very fortunate. And Ramsdale as well. And I think that's what Jorginho's saying to him. You've really dropped me in it there, because he telegraphed the pass once, Ramsdale, and Dewsbury Hall went to go towards it and still played it.
So we have had a couple of goals elsewhere. We are going to go to them in a second. It's still Villa, that Ollie Watkins goal up at Everton. It's still goalless Leeds Southampton in the battle of the bottom two. Arsenal still a goal up here, courtesy of Gabriel Martinelli. Arsenal free kick for the slightly suspect foul on Jorginho. And we'll take you now to 2 goals that have taken place in that West Ham Forest game as soon as the ball goes dead. Ramsdale to Gabriel. No pretty dilly-dallying this time. He goes long to Nketiah on halfway. Zinchenko being pressurised by Tielemans. He could, of course, be his teammate next season if Tielemans does join Arsenal. Could be a big summer move as his contract runs down. For now, though, Leicester tried to attack through Dewsbury Hall, who was off balance. His initial ball was blocked, but Christensen read the danger nicely and just ghosted in between Ødegaard and Saka. Back heel from Vardy, trying to free Barnes, but that was well read by Gabriel. Ball's back to Ramsdale, who doesn't play a short pass. Smacks it downfield, looking for Saka, who's under pressure from Christensen. Foul will take you to the first of those goals at West Ham.
He sprays it out to the right flank, finding Bowen, who hit the post moments ago. Still Jared Bowen, nice footwork, drags the ball in. Danny Ings! West Ham lead on his home debut. Danny Ings, first start for West Ham, first goal, and it could be a priceless one for the Hammers.
Danny Ings gets his goal. John Howick calling that one 1-0. We'll take you to the other goal there, and I think there's just been a first goal in that big Leeds Southampton bottom of the table clash. We'll take you there if it stands in a moment as well. We've now got goals, I believe, in all of our games, and it's hotting up just as we like it in some big second halves here on Premier League Live. Leicester here, just 1 down. Castagna in field, trying to find Vardy. Martinelli showing no ill effects from that knee knock when he scored his goal, tracking back really well and making a very important challenge, sliding the ball back to his keeper Ramsdale, who plays a rather unconvincing 1-2 with Saliba. Now Gabriel tries to clear it, blocked by Vardy, but behind for a goal kick. In the end, Arsenal take the right option, but they left it arguably too late. Let's take you to the second goal in that West Ham Forest game.
Here come West Ham again now. Ben Rama inside the penalty area. Ben Rama, and it's in! It's Ings again! Would you believe it? In quick succession, like London buses, Danny Ings with his second goal for West Ham, and that could secure a big 3 points.
John, thank you very much. So West Ham 2, Forest 0. There's been another goal there since we've just been to. We'll take you back in a moment. The Leeds Southampton goal has stood. We'll bring you that and tell you which way it's gone. Still Leicester 0, Arsenal 1 here, and still Everton 0, Aston Villa 1 in the game up at Goodison Park. Here's Eddie Nketiah trying to put some pressure on Wout Faes at the other end. Faes with that kind of sideshow Bob style hairdo for any veterans like Dave Kitson and I who grew up loving early Simpsons. I presume you did.
Oh yeah, and Kelsey Grammer as well, who plays I'm a big Fraser fan.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too. Early Simpsons and Fraser, 2 of the absolute bests. Through ball from Dewsbury Hall. Is the offside Harvey Barnes? It was a clever delivery, but the answer is yes. And as much as Saliba tracked back, he didn't need to worry because Barnes had just ghosted offside on the near stand side as we approach 78 minutes and Arsenal still gave a goal up. Will it be enough?
It's not as comfortable as it should be, and it's the press from Leicester that's doing for Arsenal. They're not letting them play out. They're actually going for them now. Vardy has made a big difference as well. He's already caught Gabriel out once trying to clear the ball. He's closed him down like the Vardy of old. He's still got that little turn of pace. I just think Leicester maybe will get one more chance here.
Leicester still the only team not to have kept a Premier League clean sheet since the World Cup. It's haunted them again in this game. They might have only shipped the one, but one might be enough. Arsenal on the attack again. Saka feeding Nketiah, who's certainly been lively since coming on. Tries to claim he's won the throw, and he has. He's flicked it off Harvey Barnes and out for a throw to the away side. Double substitution impending for Leicester. Dennis Pratt will go off to be replaced by the Zambian Padson Daka. And Boubakary Samare, the young Frenchman, will come on for the Nigerian Wilfred Ndidi. So one change up top and one change in the engine room. That will be when the ball next goes dead. Ben White takes the throw for Arsenal, 6 or 7 yards in from the dead ball line. The 1-2 with Gabriel Martinelli, the goal scorer in the first minute of this second half. Jorginho off balance. Was he fouled? It was kind of a Jorginho sandwich either side of Dewsbury Hall and Vardy. Jorginho's now writhing around, holding his head, his leg, anything he can. Vardy's saying he did nothing. Caught between two players there.
Do you know what? Jamie Vardy, when he tackles, when the ball's in his favour, he doesn't mess about. The ball is there for him to win. It's sort of 60-40 in his favour. And he makes sure that he's tackled Jorginho there. And I think Jorginho has got a thigh to the forehead.
So basically, he's been pushed by Dewsbury Hall and he's just fallen
straight into
Vardy. Comes wading in.
Yeah, and I think Vardy can sense it coming and he hasn't pulled out.
Jorginho very much the ham in the blue sandwich. He's pulled himself back to his feet, the veteran, and no foul. Arsenal do at least get the throw, so he's won something. But he wanted a free kick. Ben White takes that throw. Nketiah tries to flick it on, looking for Saka. Fast gets there. Flicked on by Barnes, looking for Vardy. Saliba beats him to the ball, hooks it downfield. Tielemans wins the header. Saliba then wins the secondary ball back for Arsenal, chested down by Ødegaard, who had the new man Boubakary Samare on him. As a result, Ødegaard couldn't quite control it as he wanted. Leicester get it back again through Victor Christensen. Nice touch from Barnes to free the excellent Dewsbury Hall running forward. Ball at foot, left edge of the penalty area for Leicester. Deep cross, sliding in at the far post was Castagna. Right back, couldn't quite make contact. Powerful delivery from Dewsbury Hall, possibly slightly overhit, and Castagna couldn't make him pay.
Yeah, we had two in the box, Daka there and Vardy, but neither of them really made a run. So he had to try to find somebody on the far post. Would have been a really, really difficult one to hit. But that started from Christensen.
Jorginho is now down again. We'll see why in a moment, but we'll take this opportunity as Thomas Partey prepares to come on for his return after injury. To first of all go to Leeds Southampton. It was 0-0. Bottom and second bottom. Which way's the goal got at Ellen Road for Joe Clements?
Somerville on this left-hand side. He's got Mara and Maitland-Niles for support. Little jink in between his feet and he threads the ball into Junior Firpo. And it's in! Leeds United have the lead. The breakthrough has been coming.
Junior Firpo, 78 minutes with the goal for Leeds United, who lead 1-0. How massive could that be?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge, and that may well. I know there's still games left in this season, but to lose a game like that, if you're in Southampton colours, it's so big. It might not be able to recover from it.
And they've just decided to give Ruben Selles the job for the rest of the season. Will that change in time or not? He's the third boss of the season already. Don't forget. Goes bad to worse at St Mary's. Leeds lead that 1-0, which is absolutely huge. Now let's take you back to the London Stadium where West Ham were leading Forest 2-0. John Hammock again.
To Rice again. Rice with a curl. Oh, it's 3! It's Declan Rice with a parlour from the edge of the box. Would you believe? West Ham 3, Nottingham Forest 0, and it's the captain that may well have wrapped things up for the Hammers.
Declan Rice, lovely goal, just saw it on our monitor. Declan Rice, heavily linked again in this morning's papers to Arsenal.
Yeah, well, everybody's going to want him. I mean, the fact that David Moyes actually came out earlier on in the season to say he's going to, if he does go, it's going to be for a lot of money. That's not the same as saying he is not for sale. So I will expect him to leave, but I think there's going to be a tug of war for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Who will potentially get Jude Bellingham from Borussia Dortmund? Who might then want Rice? Yeah. Some very talented young English central midfielders may be up for grabs. Martin Ødegaard comes off. Solid game.
Yeah,
hasn't got his goal, but he's played well.
Yeah, he's been very good.
And stabilising that ship a little. It's Partey coming on. Thomas Partey, so key for Arsenal this season. Been mostly fit for the first time for most of the run of the campaign. And for that reason, as much as any, been heavily missed the last couple of matches due to a thigh injury. But the big number 5 will come on to enforce and drive forward because he does that very well in the final 7 minutes.
Yeah, he's a good player. They have missed him. There's no doubt about that.
Long ball over the top. Saka wins it at the second time of asking off Samare to Nketiah. Dropping deeper as the link man. He wanted the return pass from White, but Christensen blocked that avenue. And in the end, White plays a ball into space. And Nketiah is just ghosted offside. So we stay at 1-0. Team News in for our evening game. Tim Long in the chair for Bournemouth, Man City. Ake does play as the left side of that back three I'm just looking at today, which is clearly the right decision. Had a feeling De Bruyne wouldn't start. Missed midweek. Wasn't great last weekend. He doesn't. Rico Lewis is back into the team today. Phil Foden starts. Julian Alvarez starts with Haaland. Jack Grealish continues to be in. That's some of the headlines that strike me from the City team. And Bournemouth. It's a bit of a hodgepodge. Let's be honest, that Bournemouth squad this season. But on occasion, Gary O'Neill drags it together to get a tune, doesn't he? But it's whether or not they can do it consistently.
Yeah, it's a big ask. It's a big ask. I think I heard on the somebody told me this morning, texted me to say that De Bruyne was ill. Is that going to make a difference? And I said, I really don't think so.
No. But he's not been in the best form for a lot of this season, De Bruyne. And then he was ill on top of that midweek, as you rightly say. But often De Bruyne off the bench with a point to prove might be handy.
Yeah, it's such a sensational squad. It really is. And you look at some of the others down there, Mahrez, it's just, and they're going to need to win if this stays the way it is.
Ball chested down from Nketiah. Won by Barnes briefly. Foot Fuss smacks it downfield. Looking for Tielemans. Clash of heads between Tielemans and Xhaka. Xhaka's been knocked on the head about 3 times during this game. That time Tielemans had eyes for the ball, headed it, but also collided with the back of Granit Xhaka's head. He's down and wins the free kick. 85 gone. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. Still leads 1, Southampton 0, massive at the bottom. Was Villa a goal up at Everton, will go back for a second goal there. And it was West Ham 3, Forest 0. Go back for a 4th goal there as soon as we can too. Very, very exciting stuff indeed. Looking ahead from here, by the way, Leicester have got Blackburn in the FA Cup 5th round on Tuesday. Then it's Southampton away for their next Premier League game. Home to a misfiring Chelsea and away to Brentford. That's what's coming up for Leicester. And for Arsenal, I mentioned a midweek game against Everton. Very important catch-up one. Crucial for the Toffees as things stand in their game too. Then it's home to Bournemouth. Then Europa League kicks in with Sporting Lisbon home and away, either side of Fulham and Palace. And 2 more London derbies. That's what both teams have got are coming up.
Yeah, as we said before, there's going to be so many more twists. I mean, you look at this, I thought Everton would just crack on now, but clearly not.
It's not the worst run for Arsenal. I know some of these teams are scrapping for their lives, and that's very tough. But Everton, Fulham, not clearly. Bournemouth and Palace. I mean, it's not the worst run at this stage, is it?
I had a look last week at Arsenal's fixtures, and I sort of thought, there's 5 or 6 very, very winnable games in a row there, and but it's trying to get through them. They're not scoring as many goals as perhaps you might think.
No, it has dried up a bit of late. I agree with you. Now Xhaka's just been caught on the back of the leg by Patson Daka. One of those that's just kind of raked down his heel, down the Achilles tendon area. He's okay. He will play on. They can be nasty.
Yeah, and Tielemans is down as well. And what happened there was it was actually the one with Xhaka before the last one on Xhaka.
Yeah.
He's back on his feet. But what happened was Tielemans, he jumped in for that challenge 50-50, and he came down really awkwardly on his ankle, and that's not good news.
We'll see whether or not he is okay to continue or not. Tielemans does seem to be in a little bit of trouble here. He's had an injury-affected season. Could well be leaving, possibly moving to the Gunners, we don't know.
He looks fed up, doesn't he?
Really does.
Fed up.
Just looks frustrated.
Yeah.
He's been frustrated on and off the pitch a lot, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's been the odd lethargic performance where he's not looked himself, or he's come on sometimes overly fired up and maybe tried too hard. Almost everything he's tried hasn't really quite clicked this season with his injuries and with that lack of consistency back in the team for me.
Yeah, I know, I agree, and he's such a talent as well. He played one of the best passes I've ever seen in a football match, I think, against Manchester City once. It was just as exquisite if you're a nerd like I am and you like things like that.
Quite right.
It was just unbelievable. That's all the talent's there. And who knows, maybe it is time for a fresh start.
Ricardo Pereira, the veteran Portuguese, is going to come on for Timothy Castagne. In fact, that move has just happened during the Tielemans injury. Pereira, who himself had a horrible injury, second time in his career that he's been out for a season. fighting his way back. Was in great form before that. Big fan favourite. Nice to see him back on the field.
No, absolutely, they're horrible. I've been there myself 6 months, and it's just, yeah. And they've got the sadistic thing that they do at football clubs, which is put the recovery bike right in front of the training ground, so you can see everyone enjoying themselves
while you're trying to get back to some semblance of fitness.
It's soul destroying.
Oh, jeez. 88 gone. Still Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. And the Gunners get another win and go 6 from 7 on their travels in the Premier League and make it 31 points on the road this season already. What a statement in the title race that might be. Looking to go 5 clear as Saka exchanges passes with White. Back to Saka. In field to the new man, Thomas Partey. First touch he's had in 3 games of football. Out for the last 2, and as Dave said, sorely missed, particularly in that Manchester City game. What a difference he might have made in that game 2 Wednesdays ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Just Leicester are getting a bit desperate here, trying to win the ball back. Arsenal are trying to eat down the clock, but there's a few challenges going in on the Arsenal players now that they're not happy with.
White to Saka. He's got 2 players on him, tries to win the corner. Christensen and Barnes battling to keep the ball in play. They do so, but then the through ball was a poor one from Daka. No chance for Dewsbury Hall, out of play. Will take you to a big goal in the Everton-Villa game. Villa were a goal up for Andrew Self.
Watkins lays it off to McGinn. Good bit of work there. McGinn driving towards the penalty area. Plays it to Buendia. Coming in from Pickford's right. Goes past him. 2-0. Emiliano Buendia. An absolute thumping goal. Got the ball on the right of Pickford. Just stepped to go onto his left. Back to his right and fired it past Jordan Pickford. Emiliano Buendia makes it 2-0 to Villa.
From a Norwich man. Delivers the goal. The Argentine puts extra pressure back on Everton. Villa looks set for 3 points in that one. Here, Nketiah tried to win a corner. No more than a goal kick. Thumping challenge. Arsenal's number 14. A jersey, of course, of Thierry Henry all those years ago. Was powerless to prevent it going out for a goal kick. Arsenal have won it back, though, in midfield from the excellent Partey. He's, though, then dispossessed by Dewsbury Hall, who did not give up on the lost cause at all. Saka's charging back. Dewsbury Hall shakes him off and shakes Jorginho off, whose legs have gone. Jorginho's pointing for others to help him. That's not ideal. Cross from Dewsbury Hall just evades Patson Daka. Martinelli gets it partially clear, but only as far as Suter. And the Australian comes forward for Leicester once more. Daka's ball, not the best. Looking for Dewsbury Hall. Won by Ben White, and that's one of the good things about White aerially as by trade as centre half. Won that on the right nicely, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been very, very good for Arsenal. It's been and probably an unexpected bonus. I can't imagine they ever thought they was going to buy a £50 million centre half and play him as right back, but he's taken to like a duck to water. He really has.
Still think crossing at times needs a bit of work, but you're right, largely he's kept Tomiyasu out for a reason since the Japanese has been fit. 5 additional minutes, by the way. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. We're into the second of those. Long ball forward, looking for Vardy. He tries to chest it down and does well. Manages to feed it to Harvey Barnes. Left edge of the box. Good challenge from Saka. Ball out of play for a throw. Taken quickly by Leicester. It was going to be. But for some reason, the referee didn't want that one to be taken quickly. It's because there's another sub. Tomiyasu's coming on. Let's take you back to the London Stadium.
Now Bowen getting goal side. Right side of the penalty area, delivers the cross over the head of Mikel Antonio. Rushing onto it was Aaron Cresswell. Gets the ball out from his feet down his left flank. Feeds it through to Fornals. Turns his man. Tries to dink it towards the far post. For Antonio! It's 4! Would you believe it?
Goodness me, Mikel Antonio 4 for West Ham against Forest, thanks to John Howick. Still leads Southampton 1-0. Villa 2-0 up at Everton. And here, interestingly, Zinchenko's coming off, but it's not Tierney coming on, the normal other left back. It's right back Tomiyasu. Penalty for a penny for Kieran Tierney's thoughts. Doesn't even come off the bench.
Yeah,
when Zinchenko comes off. Very, very interesting call from Arteta, Dave, with 2.5 to go and another throw for Leicester on this near stand side. We'll get Dave Kitson's thoughts in a second. Scuff cross from Christensen was intercepted by Partey. Nketiah helped him well. And now Partey can break. Nketiah and Martinelli searing forward. Oh, good block in the end. Really good block from Suter. Otherwise, that could have easily been a second goal. But it's behind for an Arsenal corner and the ball is just where they want it.
Yeah, good break. It's a very good break. Considering Partey's back from injury. He looked pretty good down here on this right-hand side. He's cut that ball out well, Suter, actually. He's really leggy running back.
Otherwise, Nketiah, I think, will get there.
Yeah, it's a tap in at the back post.
Wow, 8th corner of the game. to Arsenal. They've outshot Leicester 10-1 last time I checked. 8-0 in corners. 93.5 of 95 gone. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1, and understandably Arsenal will take a while to take this corner. And then they've tried to play it short and waste some time. Saka gave it to Partey, who I don't think was exactly expecting it. He kicked it straight back to Leicester. Now there's been a little nudge. I think a little handball, the call against Harvey Barnes there.
I think that Barnes is just trying to pick this ball up on the run, and it sort of spun away from him, and he's used his arm to control it. And Arsenal, believe me, will use up every single second of this.
So free kick to Arsenal. We've got about a minute of time added on to ride. And for all our Arsenal listeners around the world, the good news is that they are in the Leicester half, and it's their free kick. Jorginho finally takes it, dinks it down. Saka up against Christensen, the two fighting tooth and nail for the ball. Saka thought he'd won the throw. It ricochets in the end off him last. The referee's assistant was well placed, made his decision. Saka wasn't happy with it. Arsenal got in trouble a lot for their remonstrations against officials of late, including more recently in the Man City game. Saka needed to just button it and calm down there. Nothing awarded against him, but Leicester burst forward and managed to win a throw about halfway inside the Arsenal half, taken by Christensen, who was looking for Barnes. Jorginho won it, found Saka. He hooks it downfield looking for Nketiah. Fast gets there just ahead. Now Boubakary Soumaré plays a 1-2 with Tielemans. So Leicester got one more chance to maybe get a goal. Long ball forward from Patson Daka was a poor one. It was blocked. Back as far as Suter. Long ball over the top. Headed partially clear by White, who got there just ahead of Christensen. Cross from Dewsbury Hall, blocked by White. Desperate appeals for handball, but it came off his thigh and no more. Smack downfield from Arsenal. Nketiah tries to burst through in a one-on-one. Fast slides in and makes a good challenge. 95.5 of 95 played as the final whistle blows. And Arsenal come to Leicester. They're stretched. Their patience is tested. Their composure is on the line. And the Gunners get the job done thanks to Gabriel Martinelli's strike 50 seconds into the second half. And funnily enough, the sun just bursts through the grey skies and shines on the Arsenal fans to our right, just at the final whistle. Is that a symptom and a symbol of what lies ahead? Will Arsenal be champions come May? This is the perfect test to come to a bear pit like the King Power and win. It's a big statement. Arsenal go 5 clear for now. They ride a goal ruled out by VAR. They win it in the second half. And the full time is Leicester 0, Arsenal 1 on Premier League Live. Dave Getson, your take on what we've just seen?
Well, really enjoyable. The first half, Arsenal really comfortable on the ball, moving the ball quickly, 1 and 2 touches. Leicester couldn't really deal with it. Saka was causing all sorts of problems. They sort of grew back into it, but it's the start to the second half that's killed them. It really, really is. It's a shocker of a goal to concede. Martinelli, credit to him, he took it really, really well.
Got injured in the process. Injury, exactly.
Yeah. He took it really, really well. And that's the kind of desire that Arteta has instilled in this team.
So the Arsenal players have just come over to those fans in the far right corner. White, Nketiah, Partey and Saka and Tomiyasu coming over now. And the old Arsenal flag has been unfurled by a big section of the fans, and of course that was the old emblem that won many a title, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they're starting to dream again. And who knows? Look, they just keep putting the pressure back onto City and United. To be fair, not totally out of it, but
8 behind as things now stands, having played the same number. So it's not great, but it's not out of the question.
No, not at all. We still have that big game to come as well. I mean. Look, it's like I said, there's going to be so many twists to come in this season, but they keep finding a way to win. Then we always say it, don't we? The teams that go on and win titles are the teams that find a way.
Yeah, so Arsenal have played Man United twice now, lost 1-1. They played City once and lost, and played them again in April. That game will be huge. But yeah, just every time like this that Arsenal are under pressure as the team playing first, get that result. It just means that City, particularly United to a degree, have got to then reatone. And this is not a City team that necessarily is in its pomp and sweeping all before it. It'd be intriguing to know what's happening in the City mentality now that they've just heard this result.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they know that they just have to keep winning it. It really is as simple as that. And it's the same for Arsenal. Guardiola, I heard him say that second is the worst position to be in. It's the hardest position to be in. I don't agree with that. It's all about the mind games. But listen, at least your job is simple. You just have to keep winning.
Full time here then, Leicester 0, Arsenal 1. Thank you for your excellent tweets over the course of this game at TalkSport Live. It's been a pleasure as ever to bring this game to everybody around the world. never tire in saying that. And elsewhere, Everton 0, Aston Villa 2, Leeds 1, Southampton 0, West Ham 4, Nottingham Forest 0. They were the scores just ticking toward full time a moment ago. It's finished. Leicester 0, Arsenal 1 on Premier League Live.